click on the actual thing and share it if you want. It'll be easy to do that. All right, let me...
Maybe tag the podcast account, actually.
Okay, the Dropshot will do, sir.
Damn it.
All right, so that's done.
Change the title like a champ.
Yeah. All right.
Scoot over. There we go.
Ready when you are.
I'm ready.
Let's do it, my So, all right. Already up to 18 viewers. Nice. Be a busy one.
Is there like a live chat thing at all? Or is it just like the comments on it?
No, so if you click on so when you look at the post, if you click on the actual box on the video, it'll load the video player and the comments will be on the right side.
I guess I'm the boomer now. I can't think. I click. Okay. Whatever. It doesn't matter, I guess. I found it. I figured it out. Okay.
There you go.
Got it.
Cool. All right. So send the jingle and then off we go.
You already got a couple fans in there, Res.
Yeah, fan is a word.
Welcome everybody to episode 78 of the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast. I am J007 TV, joined as always by Subone KD, and today we have a very special guest, the #1 Infinity Ward fan in America, Razinon from the Dropshot. What's up, man?
Hello, fellas. Great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, thanks for hopping in.
Well, I repudiate the charge that I'm a fan of Infinity Ward, but obviously you're joking, yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, anybody that has listened to the Dropshot knows that that's not necessarily the case, so...
not 100% the biggest fans.
How is cursing?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
If you can say it on Twitch, you can say it here.
Fuck Infinity Ward. Yeah. So anyway,
that's fucking great, dude. That is great.
Well,
thank you so much for hopping on, man. We've both been big fans of your podcast for a while. I'm a little behind on the episodes, but I try to listen when I'm working out and stuff like that. And you guys do a really good job, man. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, great to be here. Yeah, sorry Tanner couldn't be here. By the way, I talked to him, but he's still moving. He's working, doing our podcast. He's just busy as fuck. So. He was like, I can't at all this month, but like the earliest maybe next month. So maybe at some point we can get us both on if you guys want, but yeah.
Would love to.
He sends his regards.
No, would love to. That would be great, man.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
We're jumping on each other again. But how's so I know we were chatting a little bit beforehand, but so you're mountain time, you're kind of in between the two of us. So how's your Saturday morning looking up? You guys got anything big going on this weekend?
No, not really. Just an episode later today, but nice. Yeah, as far as the mountains go, it's cold, which I love. I don't miss California. Smoggy, hot, disgusting. Ugh. But
stupid.
Anyway. Yeah, really bad stuff. Yeah.
That's Southern California, by the way. Up here we're just, hippies.
That's true. Yes, that's true.
What about you, Sub? I know after last week you had to dig a trench. Sub lives on a ranch, in case you didn't know, so he's got a lot of shit to do.
Yeah.
So what do you got going this weekend?
Homesteader.
I gotta dig more trenches for water lines for orchard my wife wants to put in because heavens forbid I let her go near a Home Depot or some shit because she comes back with stuff. So I told her I'm not taking her to Home Depot this month, and she said okay. And she's made friends with our neighbors who happens to own a plant factory. I don't know, nursery.
A plant factory?
Yeah, they grow trees and then they sell them, and it's And so she gave them. They were like, oh, yeah, we'll give you a deal on trees and plants and shit. I'm like, cool. And then she's like, cool, I'll take like 15. I'm like, 15 trees, thanks. That's a lot of digging.
I didn't know people bought and sold trees.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They come in like these giant pots and like they just
holy shit. Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, usually it's like you go to like when you go to put like mature plants in, it like the trees will run you like $100-$150 a piece, and this lady's giving them to us around like 35-40. So my wife is very excited, and
what kind of trees?
This is gonna be an orchard, so it's all I don't know. I think it's like 8 different fruit trees.
I see.
Going in. I don't know, a couple. So we have some apple trees that are doing well. She got a little hectic with the chainsaw and took some stuff out. So we got to replace some apple trees, and then we got to do. Then we've got, what do we got coming in? Peach and guava and mango and.
Ooh, peaches are good.
Yeah, the olive trees are doing. Olive trees are our best producers. So those are doing well. And then
you make any olive oil?
Yes, it turned out shitty last time. So, but olive trees only produce every other year. So we're
really,
yeah. So it's like we did it 2 years ago, and it was our first time trying it, and it was a disaster. It was awesome. Cleaning that up sucked.
What do you want to plant? Like half of them one year, and then the other half the next, so you get olives every year.
That's how you should do it, but but these came on the property when we bought it, so it was like,
I see. You know. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, so we're just, I think she wants to put down, I think 14 trees in the front and then a few down the driveway. So
Jesus.
It'll be, it'll be good. And then
we have forest.
That'd be nice. Well, our property sits on a hill overlooking like a road that gets a little busy. It's like, I mean, we moved from Silicon Valley, so it is quiet and peaceful. Like, by comparison, but being out here for a few years, it's kind of like I'm at the point where it's like, oh, there's somebody within 150 yards of me. That's too crowded for me. You're gonna have to move along. And so, but it's a bypass for people going to the beach from Silicon Valley. So it's like on the weekends in the summer, it gets busy, and then I get irritated to get off my lawn.
The beaches in NorCal suck, though. People go to them.
Oh yeah, and they sit on the beach and they don't touch. They don't go in the water unless you're my children who are feral and just don't get cold. Apparently,
get hypothermic. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's nice. And so I got that. I got to dig the sprinkler lines, then I got to decide if I'm getting turkeys or not.
I'm sorry, turkeys?
Yeah, for Thanksgiving.
Oh,
base.
Nice. Okay.
So it'll be.
I'll let the kids name them.
I don't care if they name them or not. Still eating them.
Listen, he's got beef and everything. You should have heard our first few episodes, dude. It sounded like a fucking barnyard in the backyard, in the background.
Shit, really?
You could hear like fucking roosters. You could hear a horse whinny, cows moo. It was awesome.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's
very cool.
Always something going on here, but it's always something. But otherwise, kind of a typical weekend, go down to Home Depot, have a nice little Saturday.
Yeah.
Maybe Bed Bath & Beyond if you have time.
Pretty much.
I've got to go a little bit later this afternoon. I've got to go pick up my kid. He's at the Joint Reserve Base right now. He's in the Young Marines, so he's in a kind of a group like that. And I know you've mentioned several times on your podcast that you're a United States Marine, yeah?
As a joke, yes.
As a joke?
Yeah.
So you were not in the Marines?
No.
Oh, shit. I fucking legitimately thought you were.
Oh, no. Yeah, that has been a joke. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, keep in mind,
joke.
I just started listening to you guys about a year and a half ago or two, maybe. So if that started before, now I feel like a fucking moron, man. You need to have a goddamn disclaimer on that, dude. I was like, maybe he'll come on like a veterans episode
very
or some shit.
Wrong about guns or something, So I'll try to be more obvious in the future.
Jesus Christ, I'm such a moron, dude. Fuck.
Nicely done.
Boy, we're starting this fucking thing.
The ultimate troll.
That's that's funny.
In any case, he wants to be he wants to enlist after high school, so he's been doing that. So is he in
like JROTC? Is that what that is?
It's kind of similar. Like they have drill. Last year he got to go like during the summer, and it's a nationwide organization. But last summer he went to go visit like the last code talker. And then this December we're sending him to Pearl Harbor. He's gonna go do a thing for that. Yeah. So
how old is he?
He's 16, so he'll be 17 this October and everything. So he's getting into that, and that's been his choice. Like I'll definitely support him if he wants to do that. But I'm not like pushing him to do it, if you will. So it's pretty exciting. He's a Call of Duty fan. He's actually a fan of the Dropshot as well.
No, you
he
let him
listens
listen?
with me. Yeah. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Like, he hears me. So,
yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's cool.
But tell us, how did you guys get your start? Like, what made you guys decide to want to do a podcast, and like, when did you start playing COD, that kind of stuff?
Well, Tanner and I had known each other, for my co-host, for quite a few years before we started the podcast, through like mutual friends. We weren't like friends like, oh, let's go hang out or whatever, but we had the same kind of like friend groups because of some mutuals. So, you know, we were friendly, hung out with each other, whatever. And then another friend of mine in 2018 was like, hey, I'm going to get a computer. We should play Black Ops 4 together. Because I had played a lot of Call of Duty with this friend. Just growing up. I'd known that guy forever. Anyway, so I was like, okay, sure, I'll get it. So we both got it. And then the friend that enticed me to get BO4 played for fucking 2 days and then just never played again. So awesome. Classic. So I'm like sitting here with my dick in my hand, but whatever. So I was playing more. And then I knew Tanner was like a big FPS fan. He's been playing FPS games fucking forever. And I knew that. So I don't know exactly how, but I like hit him up and I was like, dude, get BO4, like play with me. This is fun. And this is before, keep in mind, the crossplay days. So I was on computer playing keyboard and mouse for the first time, FPS game, enjoying it a lot. And I knew he was like a Call of Duty PC KBAM player. And so I got him to start playing with me. And then we just like loved it. Just like pubs, multiplayer sixes, just a couple hours every day, like after work, we would just get on and like, yeah, fuck around and just slam people. Because again, this was before crossplay. And so we just played a lot of that game, like a fuck ton of that game, which blows my mind now, by the way. I could never play as much multiplayer as I did then, now that we've gotten BR. But yeah, we're playing that a bunch, and then I pitched it to him. I was like, hey, would you want to do like a podcast? Because I'd always kind of wanted to do a podcast. I'd like to yap. It's probably obvious to you guys. And he was like, all right, sure, whatever. I'll be there with you while we do it, I guess. So then we started doing it like once a week. And didn't really expect much from it, just kind of did it for fun. Was hoping to get, like an audience or whatever. Did, uploaded it to places and all that. But then like at that time, there weren't any Call of Duty podcasts. There were, I think, 2 listed on apps at the time I had searched when we had started it. And they were not regular. Like in either of the cases or in each of the cases, their last episode was like 9 months ago. And then the one before that was like another year before that. So there weren't really any like at all. So we were the first mover as far as like consistent Call of Duty podcast goes. And then that got us a lot of traction early. So we were already getting like a way bigger audience than I thought we would. And then COVID happened, and that just like blew up our whole community, listeners and like Discord members, live viewers. And then it was like, oh shit, we could do this like for real and be like serious about it. So that's pretty much how it started. Yeah. And then Warzone came out as well. So it was Warzone and COVID that just like blew up. And since we'd already done some episodes by then, we were in like the podcast algorithms. So people, I guess, started searching up Call of Duty podcast. I wisely put those exact words in the name of our podcast. And then, just got captured all of that, just gobbled it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how I found you, is I was searching for, I at the time I was commuting. So we'd moved to the ranch right, in the early stages of like COVID, like 21 or something. And so but I kept my job in the city, so I was driving an hour and a half, hour 45 each way, and needed something to do because, good Lord, you can only listen to the radio for so long.
Yeah.
And so I found you guys, and then there was another podcast at the time, the Warzone Amateur Hour. They were on for about 150 episodes or so.
Yeah.
And listened to so I was kind of back and forth listening to the two of you guys most of the time, and then it was, they folded and you guys stuck around, we're obviously churning along, so kept paying attention. I got a good laugh because I had somebody, you guys did you guys actually, I think it was Tanner talk shit about me once on an episode.
Really?
Yes, it was.
Nice.
I gotta look it up. We were talking about one of the resurgence maps back in MW2, I think, and he was saying, he's finding kill streaks everywhere, and
back in
maybe,
yeah, or wait,
something like that.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway,
yeah, whatever. And I was laughing because, during that time I was I used to play with a fucking loot goblin, and so there was nothing on the ground ever, because if there was a box, he hit it. Didn't matter if we were in a gunfight. Didn't matter what was going on. He was hitting the boxes and taking the good shit, right? And the backpacks were fully featured, so he would have like a large backpack, and it would be just stuffed with everything that I needed.
Yeah,
didn't matter. And so I just made some quip on Twitter, and I was like, oh, I must be following you around because I can't find shit. And everybody got a good laugh out of that.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't remember that at all, but that sounds right. Yeah. that sounds like something he would do, yeah, or I would do.
And then but yeah, so it was the good old days of Warzone 2.
My Holocaust, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was when we started, I think, around season 2, maybe, from Warzone
like
2.
That
was when we started ours.
Warzone 2?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He had been on with Modern Warzone, and we'd had some interactions via Twitter or whatever, and so I just sent him a message. I'm like, hey, dude, would you have any interest in doing a podcast or whatever? So we started doing spaces on Twitter, and then we've just gradually just improved the quality or whatever of it. And so
were you guys uploading right away, like to apps?
No, we just did Twitter Spaces, and so we didn't put any effort. Like it was one of those things of this weirdo messaged me out of the blue and said, "Do you want to do a podcast?" And it happened to line up with when I was talking to Involved Money. I don't know if you know him on Twitter.
No.
Yeah, he ran like a competitive org for a little bit. Really nice guy, great guy, and we were talking about it, and I had this crazy idea of doing a podcast with trying to bring different levels of people, different groups of people together. So because at the time it was the community was very much like you were a sweat or you were a bot, there was a big divide between the two, and it was very full of animosity.
Probably still true.
Yeah, it's a little better than it used to be, but it was pretty rough. But as I was talking to him about it, and this weirdo messaged me, and I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Listen, we had never had a single spoken word before we did our first space together. We calmed through DMs.
That's bold.
Yeah, no, we did it. I mean, listen, dude, my profession is sales. That's what I do. And he's a personable guy too. So it wasn't really that big of a deal, but it was funny because we've just we started doing that about every 2 weeks. And then he had the idea to start doing it every single week. And then he also had the idea to start, going live on Twitter. And I was a little trepidatious about doing that because I just wasn't sure we'd be able to, provide the content weekly. And dude, now it's to the point where a lot of times we won't even know what the fuck we're going to talk about until about 10 minutes before we start. And then we'll talk for 2 hours and could go for another 2 hours. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. You get good at that. Yeah.
But yeah, no. So that's been, where we're coming from. So it's kind of, it's one of those things where it's been surreal to see how, to be interacting with everybody that, we simply followed before. And now, we've got you on.
Yeah.
So
getting Joe on, big catch, by the way. Very cool.
Yeah, I've got a few other people I'm talking to. It's been a big year already. It's gonna be a bigger year, I think, for us. I'm excited.
Nice, man.
So basically, I'm of the mindset, just like I did with Joe, I did with you. I was like, fuck it, I'll take my shot and just see. I fired off that DM.
This is the talent manager over here.
He provides like the substance and like the nerd shit. I find the people to get on to come and visit and hang out with us.
Yeah,
and
you're
everything.
the sales guy. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, what was the worst thing you were gonna do? Say no? Okay, cool. I'm still a fan. I'm still gonna listen. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I'm happy you're here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not some fucking big hot shot. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is fun.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's been fun listening to you guys for the last couple years, and you guys you just did episode 500, right?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
So you guys have been up for what? You're on 4 years now.
January 2020, so 5 years and 2.5 months.
That's excellent. Outlives most of the podcasts, especially ones by, there's been some big podcasts out there.
You're back.
You're back.
We hear you now.
This was me last week, crashing out. But he did. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a road. I think if you remember, Modern Warzone and Charlie Intel did one for a minute.
Yep.
And their podcast was, they would do spaces. They started literally at the same time we did, and they lasted like 3 months. And
I mean,
then,
for a lot of these people, for most people who start a podcast, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. Like, these are people that either should be have jobs, they're gainfully employed, and they do it like on the side, and they're like, it was fun doing this every Saturday for whatever, but like I want to, go to the beach or some shit or something. Or they are big content creators, like Charlie Intel and Modern Warzone, where again, juice is not worth the squeeze. Like I could do all this work to do a podcast, make a fucking description, make a thumbnail, upload it like an asshole, or I can just go live on Twitch and get gifted subs, like way less effort, So I understand why a lot of people fall out for sure.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work, behind the scenes.
So I do most of the
I do most of the technical bullshit behind the scenes. So it's kind of like, it's just you have to go through. Listen, by the time I'm done with the episode, I'm like, I don't want to hear it again. I don't want to listen to myself.
Yeah.
I'll listen on both platforms. So like I'll listen on Apple, and then I'll also listen on Spotify. So I mean, essentially I listen to two podcasts. I listen to ours and I listen to yours. I don't listen to any other podcasts at this point because I don't have time for it. So yeah, it would not be a slightly above average gaming podcast episode without some kind of technical difficulty. I don't know what that fuck just happened. I didn't touch anything, dude.
That'll happen.
So when you started Blackout, did you play Blackout at all?
No, because we were on PC, so fucking no one played Blackout. The community on PC was, I would imagine, by far the smallest between PlayStation, Xbox, PC.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, I'm almost positive BO4 was not on Steam at the time either. So that was the only PC vector, but it was still very, very small community. So, And we had no interest in it, to be fair. Like, we didn't really care to play Blackout. I think we tried like once or twice to queue, and we were in queue for like 3 minutes, and we were like, okay, I don't care anymore. And then we just like stopped trying. Yeah.
Nice.
I know. I've heard good things about it, but it's also a bit antiquated, especially for Call of Duty BR, as far as I'm concerned. Primarily the looting aspect bullshit. I think Call of Duty players are just not ever going to be into that. I'm in that camp as well. And so, but I've heard, good things. The map, the health total, healing system, visibility. I'm sure there are a lot of good things to say about Blackout, but I don't have any personal experience with it. No,
there were. And, Blackout was where I first learned how to play BR. I had a friend talk me into doing it. I was on Xbox at the time. Obviously it wasn't cross-plat, so we weren't really dealing with cheating on a regular basis. Maybe a strike back or a Cronus once in a while, which even then, how the fuck would you know, kind of thing. And
exactly.
So I played that a lot, and then when Warzone came out and it had loadouts and all that stuff, I was a little disappointed. And so I've been on record as saying Warzone basically fucking killed any way we were going to have a Blackout 2. Like, it's dead, because like what you just said, the community will never. We've gotten to a point where we rely on loadouts. Nobody wants to loot, which is kind of the point of part of the point of a BR. Like, nobody wants to do that shit. So it's like, this is what we have. So now
I agree.
You know, like it's disappointing, but it is what it is. I'll keep playing. I still play it. I got a fucking podcast about it. So
yeah, right. Yeah, no, but I agree with your assessment. Yeah, and it's like, Warzone is a BR in the fucking loosest sense of that phrase possible, because a real BR is like lots of downtime, slow, looting, like, you know, camping, healing takes forever. That, at least my conception of what a BR is, because I think the original BR was Tanner would know this better than me. I always forget the fucking Daisy mod or some shit. I don't know.
Arma or some shit.
Yeah, Arma mod maybe. And then it became, or Arma was the mod. I don't know. You guys can figure it out. But then it went to like PUBG was the first like real BR. And that's what I think of a BR. And when you look at every other BR even, so like even if we're not using you know, an appeal to genetic fallacy, whatever, comparing right now Warzone to every other big BR, it's the only one that like doesn't have looting, really, like looting attachments and shit. Apex has that. PUBG has that. I know a lot of other BRs, but I'll stop the list there. That was a joke.
Well,
I can't name any other BRs, but
those are the
big
ones.
Three, I'd imagine. Yeah.
You know, so
yeah.
But you know, it's so funny. I saw Lucky Shamu was talking about Battlefield, and he was like, if this, and I'm paraphrasing, he's like, if this has loadouts, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, can we have like a fucking just one BR that's like a regular BR without any of the Warzone nonsense? Dude, you should have seen my comments on that. Like,
oh no,
holy shit, you'd have thought I read Mein Kampf on fucking stream or something. God damn.
Doing that in a COD streamers, that's gonna get you some flack. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, don't be knocking the loadouts. Everybody gets mad.
and the funny thing is,
and again, I'm in that camp. If I want to play a BR and like, what telescopic sight do I want? I'll go play something else. I don't think Warzone is for that. And originally when Warzone came out, because we didn't even know it was going to come out, we were doing the podcast before it came out. Tanner and I are both on record, very early days. We were like, yeah, the loadout thing's kind of dumb. Like, you should loot for your like stuff or whatever. That's what we first said. And then, I mean, it maybe took us a couple weeks at the most, where we were like, yeah, no, actually, this is the best thing they could have done, because it gives it a unique identity. Because otherwise, it's kind of like any other BR.
Yeah.
You know? But
yeah, I thought Warzone when it came out, from, though. Like, looking back, and, you know, I don't know if you played any of that Warzone mobile and melted your phone with it. But
no. No. I knew that bullshit was not going anywhere. Everyone was trying to, that was like a failed psyop.
The fucking money
all
grab,
the streamers were like, oh dude, let me get my emulator out, and fucking played Warzone mobile on stream for all of like 6 hours. No one ever talked about it again to this day.
Yeah.
Complete psyop.
They got their free iPads out of it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But you know, I actually did play it a little bit, because Warzone was kind of shitty at the time.
Very
when it came out
at the time.
Yeah. And so I was like, it was interesting, because it went back to the original loop, right? There were no flares. There were no, you know, you had one gulag. Buybacks were like 4,000. It was OG Verdansk, like 2020 Verdansk feel, like in how it played. Mm-hmm. And it felt, it really felt the way that I remembered Warzone playing. And that was a really interesting experience to go back to that. I liked it a lot. I could not stare at the little screen for too long, because, you know, I was playing on my phone, and it was like, I'm like, I'm not, I'm an older gamer, but I'm not that old where it's like, I gotta get my readers out and like get one of those. It was like one of those things of like, I gotta stop playing, or I gotta get one of those magnifying lights on a stand, right? Like,
yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so I stopped playing, because
right.
I'm not buying that. But it was like, it was fun to go back to the loop, to the original way Warzone was, because I feel like they got lost in their sauce when Caldera came out.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And so it was like, to not have balloons, to, you have to use vehicles if you're going to go anywhere. You had to just play for, Warzone the way it was. It was like, dude, that was a fun game. Like, it makes sense that it was as popular as it was to me, having seeing what that was, and then hopping back in to like main Warzone and being like, fuck, dude, they ruined this game. They went really hard the wrong way.
They never stayed true to their identity. Like those other BRs that you mentioned, up until recently, those BRs, they were what they were. They stayed true to their identity. This Warzone, they fucking conflated two modes, dude. Like, they made the regular BR into Resurgence and multiplayer combination, like just a
exactly correct.
Fuck, man.
That's exactly correct. Yes. That's what Tanner and I have said too. It's like Ted Timmons of Raven Software just went fucking bonkers on Caldera. Yeah, Caldera came out, and then they just were constantly making tweets and blog posts about that were thinly veiled self-reports where they were like, oh, we don't want people to like not be playing the game. So when they die, they actually shouldn't die. I hope that helps. Here's a Gulag token. Here's a Gulag entry kit. Here's a fucking redeploy pack. Here's a flare. Here's a go again. Here's you can get bought for, here's a jailbreak, right? You could get bought back for 2K instead of 4K. Oh, if it's fire sale, it's actually just free to buy your teammates back. And if you do 3 emotes in a row, your team comes back also. Oh, and most wanted contracts. We've now sped those up so you can get your teammates back faster by looting and shit. They just made it exactly like you said, Jay, into Resurgence. So it's like, we have the Resurgence mode, and a lot of people like that. And that's fair, because it's a hybrid between COD multiplayer, which is where, we started, basically, and then Warzone. It's like kind of where we are. There was like that middle ground, that bridge, whatever, with Resurgence, and a lot of people like that. More fast-paced, less looting. If you die, it's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
And they saw the popularity of that mode at the time of Caldera, and I think what happened is, okay, everyone's playing, Resurgence right now, and very few people are playing Big Map. It must be because people are tired of being dead on the Big Map. Certainly it's not that this map is untraversable. It's more mountainous than Nepal. The vehicles have 8 horsepower and no torque. You can't move your character. So I guess it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with the fact that so many things. And I think what they did was they conflated the popularity of Resurgence, or not conflated, but they saw the popularity of Resurgence and they said, people like this Resurgence type of game more than the BR type of game. Let's give the BR more of the Resurgence elements so that we can get people also playing Big Map more. What they didn't see, I suspect, is that the reason people didn't like BR wasn't because of the mode, and it wasn't because there weren't enough fucking redeploy packs. It was because the map sucked, and dying to bomber planes and fighter craft fucking sucked.
Dude.
Hey, there are no jets bombing me on fucking Rebirth. So yeah, I'm going to go play that, obviously. And when I die to some horseshit that's in both modes, if I die to the horseshit in Resurgence, I'm coming back 10 seconds later. If I die to the horseshit in BR, then I'm not coming back at all. So fuck this. I'm going to go play Resurgence. So I think that's what happened. And that was really, really, really fucking bad news, because that has carried over to now. Like if it weren't for Ted Timmons, I'm not sure right now there would exist gulag entry tokens, for example, or flares.
Yeah.
Maybe some of those things would, and like maybe some of those regain mechanics are okay. I would venture to say some might be, but we've even still today, we've gone way overboard. Not as bad as Caldera. That was nuts how trivial your life was on big map, but it's still far too trivial, I think, right now on big map. And the rumors are that's going away.
Yeah, MW3 hit a point where it was like there was no point in giving a shit about it, right? And it was like the whole loop of like Warzone. It was like there were no redeploys. You couldn't fly across the map. You had to like either plan ahead or you had to like get in a fucking vehicle and drive somewhere.
Usually
and
both.
It's like, yeah, and you had to go find, you had to find like 8 trophies, because if you didn't have trophies, you were getting your shit blown up.
Yep.
Which was awesome, because I was usually the guy carrying the rocket to blow the shit up. And
Yeah.
I have so many clips of like helicopter go by, and then you just see the trail of rockets following it. And
you were sniping helicopters?
Yeah, with a Pila.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
But it was
like,
just
damn.
great. You just see the helicopter go by, and it's like I did hit a couple of snipes later in the game, lifespan.
Lifetime, maybe. Yeah. Lifespan
Whatever.
works. Did you ever get in a chopper that someone had pre-C4'd and then immediately blown your bitch ass up?
I did that to people.
I've planted the C4.
Oh, that was you. Okay, yeah, because
like
I've died
vehicles.
many times that way. You're not a vehicle guy,
I used
huh?
to drop on prison, and I would take the chopper
Hate
on
that.
and put it on top, right, and then load it up with C4, and then hide in one of the other turrets and wait for somebody who like either is fleeing the gas and goes for it, or some like people would drop in to hit the buy station and immediately go to the chopper. And so I have I never clipped this one. I feel like my best one is I got a double kill that I think sent them both out of the game, because guy drops in, buys back, his buddy lands on the chopper, picks him up at the buy station, and then they fly over, and then all of a sudden I go, click.
That's fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's great.
Yep. Yeah, it happened to me a lot, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't like the vehicles because I feel like they draw a lot of attention to you. So I just I like to stay out and just rotate early if possible. And I mean, obviously,
I misunderstood what you meant.
Yeah. And, depending on the map, I mean, there's some maps have way too much fucking open space. Like Al Mazrah had a shit ton of open space and a lot of like area where it's like if you're caught out in the open there, thank God, that they made snipers suck on that map, because otherwise, dude, can you imagine one-shot snipers on Al Mazrah? Fucking hell.
I know.
Yeah, it would have been glorious.
Oh, I mean, I like to snipe, don't get me wrong, but just trying to rotate out and like you're out in the middle of fucking nowhere, no cover, no nothing, and then you get one shot from 400 meters away.
Exactly. Yeah. That would have been a problem because there was so much open space on Maz.
Yeah.
I think the longest one shot I hit on Al Mazrah was, I think, 450
for a down or just a hit marker
with a kill.
Damn, 450?
Yeah.
That's nuts. So you were shooting at a stick figure.
I was shooting about 18 feet above a stick figure.
Got
because
it,
the bullet velocity was like you were just lobbing footballs,
right?
And we were below the observatory in that little village, kind of south
hydroelectric.
Yeah, there's like a village like between Hydro, I think, and I'm trying to remember the map off the top of my head, but like just south of the observatory, there's that little like there's like a
I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
and I was on one end of it, and they were on a hillside on the other end of observatory, sniping down at somebody else. So they were nice and stationary, and I just fucking sent one, and connected it. And then the kill cam or the death cam was like, what the fuck was that?
Oh, you got a death cam. Glorious. Yeah, I'd be tilted watching that kill cam if I was him. Yeah.
But so I never sniped in COD. I played COD since COD 1, and sniping was just never my thing until literally like Cold War, playing on Rebirth Island. I literally picked up a sniper and then you know, in a gunfight, I'm being chased for my life, and just turned around and quick scoped somebody in the face, and was like, did one of those like stopped and like, oh shit, that was fun.
Nice.
Maybe I should learn to do this on purpose. And
Are you on KBAM or controller?
I've been on both. I played Cold War on KBAM, and then I'm on controller now.
Smart.
And you know, I've gone back and forth. So you know, I played FPS when there was no mouse.
No
Part
control.
of it, you just played on keyboard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is that like?
Wolfenstein 3D. There was no up or down. Like everything was just, you know,
just
right or
one
left.
axis. Yeah. Oh, wow.
It
Okay.
was good old days. But you know, no slide canceling in that one either.
Yeah.
The fucking dreaded slide canceling, the devil.
Slide canceling. Yeah.
But yeah, started sniping, and so my longest. I feel like an idiot for not picking it up earlier, but my longest was like 800 meters or so on Caldera, and then, you know, but it's like I look at everybody else with the HDR, you know, the old HDR, and you had actual bullet velocity.
Yeah.
And you could hit people from like, you know, 1,800, 2,000 meters, like basically cross map.
You could. Yeah. That was still very hard.
Yeah.
But it was possible.
So you switched from keyboard and mouse to controller. What was it, last year you went a whole season on controller, like you were doing that bit, right? And then for this game you switched to roller permanently, correct?
Yes, yeah. I had tried initially in MW3. Unbeknownst to me, because I'm a retard, I was sick at the time, so I wasn't playing much at all. So I didn't give it an honest shot at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I played a season. There was a season where every time I did play, it was on controller, but like I wasn't playing that much. So this recently was my first like very earnest attempt to like play controller, because I mean it's so much better than keyboard and mouse with crossplay, because aim assist is just too good. And of course that my stats have borne this out in fucking spades. I break my KBAM PR probably every time I play, like easily. It's just it's a joke. You have to be an actual phenom to be competitive on KBAM, and if you are that good on KBAM, you would still just be better on controller. Like, so it sucks because I enjoy playing KBAM way more than I do controller, but there are some advantages to being on KBAM instead of roller, but they are not. That balance is not close. Roller's way more advantaged, and more precisely, aim assist.
Yeah,
it's just way better. What are you on, Jay?
I went back to controller, so I tried to learn how to play last year on mouse and key for like 4 months. I didn't touch a controller, so I
saw some of your tweets.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. So I mean, those are my people, man. I kind of understand the struggle now, because listen, I had some pretty hot sports opinions about mouse and key, and like you use your whole fucking arm and like all this other shit. So,
listen, you get your whole arm meme.
So then, then I'm like,
That's
all right,
funny.
well, if I'm gonna have these opinions, I at least want to come at this from a direction of having some kind of practical experience. Yeah. So I learned it, and it was perfect timing. I got a new setup, where I could do that. So I did that, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. I mean, I learned how to do it, and if I play Delta Force, you have to play that on mouse and key. Marvel Rivals, I play that on mouse and key. Yep. It's just Call of Duty with the way the inputs are balanced. I refuse to put myself at a disadvantage on purpose in a game that I already sometimes struggle on because of the matchmaking fuckery. So I'm just going to stay on controller. In fact, I just got this bad boy, aim controllers.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah.
Little customization on that.
Yeah. I just got this one using code Subone KD. If you guys are interested in controllers, So.
Yep.
Where? What website?
Aim controllers.
Aim controllers.
Aim controllers, okay.
Yeah,
there you go.
We actually had Brendan on the podcast last year. He's their brand manager.
Dope.
Yeah, we had him on the podcast and got to visit with him and everything. And I mean, I don't know if you know this about Sub One, but like he dives really deep into a lot of this shit, like, you know, fucking audio controllers and everything. And so, you know,
He sounds like a fucking nerd.
yeah, he kind of is. So the reason I went with AIM is because of Sub One. And I'm like, well, if he's working with them and he likes the controller, then, you know, it's got to be pretty solid, because I hadn't had good success with my Elite 2s. Both of them, my right bumper fucking went out. So yeah.
I've been through 3 of those.
Yep, I had to dismantle mine. I liked it till it stopped working. I had to dismantle mine because, yeah, one of the bumpers stopped working. There's like a piece of plastic you can take out and then it works. So that was cool. And then one day it just stopped fucking working. It wouldn't connect to my computer. Yeah. I don't know if this is a Windows problem, the OS, or the controller problem, but they're both made by Microsoft. So either way, I blame the Elite. Yeah.
I fucking hate Windows.
How does a controller that the same company that made the OS doesn't connect ever? I spent fucking hours. You can check my Discord logs. I spent fucking hours trying to fix it. And eventually I said, okay, fuck it. I'm getting something else. Yeah.
What do you have?
Did you ever?
Now? Yeah. Fly Digi, Apex 4.
Okay.
This bad boy.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to play with one of those yet. So I do a thing where like I'll buy like 5 or 6 controllers, and then I'll put them through their paces and kind of try them out, and then I'll send them all back. Amazon
you have
loves
one
me.
of those little it's like I can't think of an analogy, but you plug it in and it does like the diagnostics and whatever, or like gives you readings.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What is that called?
Just a controller tester. There's a couple. They're free.
Okay.
You just
so yeah, you are a super nerd then. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
that's cool though, actually.
Yeah, I mean that's how I ended up with AIM. Is I was trying all these different ones, and Savage was pushing it at the time, and I was like, I respect him. He's a good creator. He's doesn't do a lot of bullshit. So I was like, I'll try one out. I actually bought one for my daughter because, funny enough, she was they have a whole customization on the website. So I was screwing around with it on my phone, and my daughter comes up and goes, I want to play with that. And I'm like, okay, thanks.
Oh no.
Cool.
Yeah.
And she's like 6 at the time, or 7 or something like that. And so she's like messing around with it and brings it back to me. And I'm like, I screenshotted it and I posted it because it's like covered in blood and like, $380. And I'm like, well, there's, sounds about right for my kid. Right. And then
she wanted the blood. That's what you mean?
Yeah. She picked it out. And
wow.
She's like, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. And I was, I posted on it and I like laughed because I'm like, of course my daughter would pick this out, and I will never buy that for her. And then one of the gals in charge of the social media account reached out and was like, so what would your daughter actually buy? Or what would you buy for your daughter? And so, and I'm like, something with dinosaurs. And so they actually came back to me with some custom options of dinosaur prints. And we talked about it and we ended up, I don't have it out here. It's in the house, but they did a custom one-off print of it, and it was it came out phenomenal. So I gave it to her for Christmas. Because you go through all that. Of course, I'm going to drop, $280 on the fucking controller for my, 8-year-old at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Does she still use it?
She still uses it. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
She plays Roblox with it. So
nice. Yeah. That's very cool.
So
that's
what?
Very cool.
One of the only thing that I'm kind of struggling with on this controller is, so I, when you want to go into chat, right? Like into the game chat for Call of Duty, you got to like hold down the select button so you can. So I was wanting to talk shit to somebody and tell them shut the hell up or something. I turned on the fucking mapping mode, but it doesn't give you a goddamn indicator that you turned on the mapping mode. So none of my paddles are fucking doing what I want them to do. And I'm like, in the middle of a game, dude.
You're on PC. Why are you using your controller to that? Why don't you just hit enter?
I don't know.
He means voice chat.
No, I was talking about like I was wanting to go into the text chat because that's not something I ever do. Right? Like I never do that.
Hit enter.
So I didn't know how to do that.
Oh,
you hit enter.
Yeah. You just press enter on your keyboard.
Oh, all right.
And then you type all the things that the game translates into asterisks, and then you get banned.
Yeah. What is it? Bob's Furniture Emporium.
By the way, fun fact: the most popular Super Sweat skin, operator skin in the game, is the Terminator skin.
Mm-hmm.
Who says the phrase "quote fuck you" in Austrian, end quote, 8 times a match, but also if you type that, exact quote in the match chat, you will be censored and you might get reported.
Yeah.
The game isn't good, by the way.
If you say it, depending on who you're talking to and who can hear you, not even like who you're talking to, but who can hear you, you get banned too.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know.
I was going to ask.
Oh, no, really?
Did you see Sub's video on that? He did a whole video on the AI voice moderation and shit, and the company that runs that part.
Yeah, because they outsource it. This isn't even Activision shit, and they literally
that sounds Chinese to me.
No, they're out of Seattle or some shit.
Oh,
which is probably worse.
That actually might be more draconian. Yeah, sure.
They will sit there and literally determine what race you are by how you talk.
No
and how
fucking
old you
way.
Are by how you talk. And then they will sit there and like listen to the people around you. And so if you can hear somebody saying something that, like, for example, if you sound like a child and the game thinks you're a child, and then you get into proximity of somebody who is saying adult things, they will punish that person for saying stuff around a child.
Holy shit.
In an M-rated game.
Yeah.
And if
that's fucking insane. Wow.
Yeah, and if you sound correct, then you get to say words that other people don't.
That was going to be my question. Yeah.
And they explicitly are like, yeah, we're aware of that.
To be very clear, I think that particular use case is probably fun. But the one where you can't cuss in front of a kid is insane.
Well, they're not even supposed to be in the fucking game.
Right. Yeah, that's insane.
You know, my kid has had
seven
bans, 7 comms bans this year already.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy that I haven't got one, because I'll tell people to get fucked all the time on there, and that's why my wife wanted to build this room so she didn't have to hear me say that shit anymore. But yeah, he's been comms banned like 7 times, and I'm like, well, what are you saying? He's like, just fuck and like go kill yourself and stuff like that. And I'm like, bro, you can't be fucking doing that. Like, you're not saying the no words, are you? He's like, no, not at all. And I'm like,
I haven't been able to speak in Call of Duty since the start of the year.
That is so weird. Yeah, a lot of people.
I got no notice, but like the last time I was able to talk to somebody, there were 2 guys talking in Spanish, and they couldn't like do anything. And I yelled at them, to buy a loadout or whatever the fuck I was mad at them for. And they started yelling at me in Spanish. And so I started repeating what they said in Spanish back to them. And apparently I said words I'm not allowed to say.
Oh, no.
And I have not been able to talk to Call of Duty since then. I have no idea what I said. I probably said some really horrible things. I don't know what they were.
Well, yeah, the AI was like, oh, this is a white guy, so he gets banned. But the Hispanics don't. Yeah, that is actually kind of fucking crazy. Yeah, yeah.
So that was fun. Last time I was able to talk in Call of Duty. Sad days. Hopefully they said that in the patch notes for season 2, if you remember. They mentioned that they were addressing, like, revisiting their comms bans.
Oh, that bothered me a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like,
the fact that they're focused on this at all bothers me a lot.
Yeah, we got other issues.
It's an M-rated
use some
game.
AI to stop fucking cheaters. Not to stop me from saying fuck you or whatever. Yeah. It's so insane. And again, like you guys have said, in an M-rated game.
Yeah.
Like, anyway. It's just fucking insane.
It's just, it's been a series of bad choices. Call of Duty has made some bad choices, starting with MW2. Like, and it's too bad because, like, I've said this before, and like, if they took MW2 and they said, we're just going to redo the franchise, I think Warzone 2 could have been a good game if they had fixed a lot of the delays and a lot of the little bullshits. They could have made something like more BRE out of it. And then they sat there and they, like, some point late in development, I think they got scared and like just half-assed everything. And they just they refused to like stick to their guns and make what they envisioned. And so they made this hybrid.
What do you think their vision was? I understand what you're saying.
I think DMZ was their vision. I think they didn't think BRs were going to survive. Because if you think about it, like, so if you look at like the timeline, right, you had middle of Cold War is when they really would have dove into creating MW2 and like sat down in the boardroom and been like, let's create this. And the BRs were all dying. right? Apex was shit. Nobody, PUBG was hacked to crap and nobody played it. DayZ was gone. Fortnite was for children. And Fortnite didn't have no build, right? It was so you had to be a cracked out like 9-year-old,
right?
Throwing mansions down
exactly
to play that game.
Yeah.
And so if you're an executive and you're looking around and it's like, and then you have Dr. Disrespect was picking up with his vertical extraction Diddy Tower.
And then you had the Midnight Society rape dungeon, yeah.
Yeah, and then you
oh my god, dude.
You had a couple of, Tarkov was having like a big resurgence. Everybody was talking about Tarkov for a bit, and so like this extraction shooter was like the next big thing. And I think they said, we're gonna be the first to it, and we're gonna make like a good Call of Duty extraction shooter. And they were like, and then I think it was Apex 7 season 17 or something was like a big revitalization of Apex, and that thing came roaring back. And then No Build came out and Fortnite came roaring back, and all of a sudden, like, the fast-paced BRs were back. And literally I think the executives shit their pants and were like, oh, we got to put BR back as the focus. Like Warzone will be the focus again. And instead of like reverting their changes, they just like stop making stuff. Because if you remember, like when DMZ came out, they were like, yeah, we don't really know what we're doing with the mode. We're gonna wait and see how people react to it, and then we'll develop it from there. Like they said that at launch, and it was like, you have the bone, like you had the bones of making a great extraction shooter. Like they had that level in the campaign where you had to like craft shit and like craft weapons and stuff.
I remember. Yeah,
like if that was if that was the experience that you had in DMZ would have been really popular. Instead, it was like, what's the whole point besides doing missions is just extracting XP. Like at the end of the day, that's all you got out of it was XP.
Well, and people would use it to go drop their buddies a weapon that they got and then extract, and that would be it.
And then it became 6-man pre-made squads running around killing everybody.
Sweats pissing everybody off.
That was the whole point of it, right? It was just a glorified hunter killer team deathmatch mode.
Which, apparently, it was more popular than I thought, even fairly late. But yeah, I mean, it was utterly pointless.
They added a lot of stuff late, but like by the time they added enough to it, it was a dead mode. Like, it has its diehards. It has people that love that mode because they like COD and they like the Tarkov experience, which I guess you get in that. With fair enough, but it's not a great. Like they blew it, and I think it was because they expected that to be the mode that carried the game, and then it wasn't. And like they pulled their punch, and they didn't deliver the game that they had in mind, and so we got a hot mess.
Well, that explains DMZ being shit, but I don't think that would explain Warzone 2. Those decisions.
But Warzone 2, like they expected the gameplay style of DMZ, right? They built the game around DMZ. They just wanted to like
double dip with that style, is your hypothesis?
Yeah, like they assumed that I think they assumed in the boardroom that everything was going towards this extraction shooter mode, so Warzone better feel like an extraction shooter in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did a lot of stuff that was interesting. They had a lot of the biggest problem was movement. You couldn't move. Like you were strapped to the ground with lead shoes, and like, they decided to make it feel realistic, like you were carrying 8,000 pounds of gear through the desert and made you move like that, right? And I think if they had given us if they had given us the movement that we had towards the end of MW3's Warzone on day one, I think people would have reacted better to it.
Not with strongholds and not with AI on the map. There's no chance. I think that was a catastrophic failure. Yeah. I think that was the biggest problem with Warzone 2.
That was a problem. When they locked the AI in the strongholds, it got better.
Yes.
It became an optional thing where you could go by them and ignore them completely. I think the fact, getting chased down by a fucking AI across the desert who doesn't miss, that sucked.
That was dumb. It was also it was visual pollution because you're seeing all these things on your mini map and in your vision, your field of view. That was annoying, especially if you happen to get in a gunfight. by a stronghold or by AI anywhere. Actually, hope that helps.
Yeah.
Anywhere where there's like a bunch of AI on the fucking street, you're in a gunfight. It's like, okay, is this a guy? And if you're on controller at the time, it's like your AA is getting pulled every fucking where. So like aiming at who you want would have probably been annoying. I wasn't on controller at the time. And really bad for performance having a bunch of fucking AI. Like how many fewer frames is everyone getting on a big ass map with how many 400 AI on it? Not that you're rendering them all at the same time, but I mean, like, if you are around, you're going to have to render all that. And I don't know. I'm not a dev,
the game was optimized for console. The game was optimized for console, so I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't have any performance issues around it.
I don't even mean necessarily issues, but like it could have performed much better than it did.
Well, when you have stability issues, anyways, and then you add these fucking AI in there and everything else, I feel like that had to contribute to that. But I was on PC in Al Mazrah, and the first 2 months I can't tell you how many wins I got fucked out of because I disconnected. Like I would just get
and not to mention server issues too.
So
I can't tell you how many wins I got fucked out of. It was about 35 because they didn't fucking count them.
Yeah, that too.
Oh,
can we also talk about for a company, and I've said this before, that loves their fucking algorithms and mathematics, why can they not get the combat record right? Like they can't even count kills and deaths. At the end of Al Mazrah, they counted I tracked this. They basically counted 1/3 of my kills and all of my deaths.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
I think it was ranked. I think they counted your ranked deaths in the main pile, but they didn't count the kills in ranked.
Oh, yeah.
I
it
think
was
that was the problem.
Stupid. Yeah. Yeah.
It was bad.
It's insane. AAA company, by the way.
And they rolled it out without a combat record. Like, read the fucking room. Like, people that play this game want to know their stats.
They gave us an in-game scoreboard, so they were a leg up on Battlefield 2042.
So you take away the
crazy,
API,
dude.
You don't give us a combat
I can't
record.
believe. Yeah,
what the
that still blows my mind too.
Yeah, that's
but yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, Among myriad other issues that we get every single year since the inception of Warzone, it's been a mess. Like very rarely has Warzone just actually functioned as it should or as they even intend for it to. The closest they ever got was last year with MW3. Why? Because they didn't have to.
Great.
Yeah, it was great. It's because they didn't have to spend a bunch of resources on making like new multiplayer maps. That was partially it, I think. They made a small suite of guns since you were going to be allowed to carry your MW2 guns over. So instead of whatever it was, 60 new guns, we got like 25. So like there was all this dev time. This is my theory that was saved by not having to do all that extra labor that you would normally have to do for a new title. So then they went into like just improving Warzone.
I think
we had like a functioning game.
I think it's the only time they launched a new Warzone, a new game, where they didn't have a major change in what they were doing.
That too.
Like, I think if you look at like, because even Caldera, like I don't know if you were watching like the marketing real close, but there was a point in which they were talking about how they were going to bring FOV slider and move the launcher of Warzone to Caldera. So when they originally started Caldera, they were going to put Warzone on that. So it was like it was like an 8.5 engine that they built Vanguard on.
Interesting.
And they were going to have so the movement was going to be fat. There was an interview that they did that COD posted it, and they've since deleted it. And they were talking about how the movement, they're going to speed the movement up a little bit. They were going to bring a lot of these Vanguard improvements to Warzone, and it'll be the first time that they do that. And then at some point about 3-4 months away from launch, they deleted all of that and they never talked about it again. And then
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And what, you kind of hear from people talking about it after the fact is like, I think they couldn't do it. Like they couldn't move Warzone without fucking destroying it. So they just did, they reverted it. And so of course Caldera was a shit show at launch and didn't work for half the people. I think console didn't work at all for like some. It was
PlayStation specifically was like uber fucked for like 6 weeks.
My buddy on Xbox couldn't load it at all.
It was maybe Xbox,
for like 2 weeks, and so it was a disaster. And and it's because they and then same thing with like Black Ops, right? Verdansk 84, they literally changed what they were doing at the last minute because, oh my gosh, Warzone's actually successful. We should, not cancel it for Black Ops 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had Blackout 2. There was actually a build of that. Expel was on our podcast a couple months ago, and he said he actually saw a build of it, like a video call.
It was going to be Ural Mountains, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they make that a zombies outbreak map?
Yes.
Well, and there was also a fire team mode. Like there was a mode that had a lot of the similar mechanics that you would use in the VR, like plating. And I think there's even like a small amount of looting you could do. It was like fire team or some shit that was actually pretty cool. And that's what I thought that Blackout 2 was supposed to be based on.
Yeah.
That track.
And then, but it's like, it's just their track record. Like they changed stuff up at the last minute and it's a disaster. And I mean, we were supposed to have Avalon right now, right? And then they switched it up for Verdansk, and now, we're in the state that we're in.
But hey, we gotta save Avalon based on the fucking cutscenes inside the game, dude. We gotta fucking save Avalon. Have you noticed that, Raz? Like all the cutscenes in the game are all Avalon based.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I skipped the fuck out of. I skipped them. Yeah. I don't watch. I don't know anything about the lore.
Go back and watch
Avalon because it looks like it would play well.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that.
A lot of swimming though. It's gonna have a lot of swimming in it.
A lot of swimming. Yeah. So which I fucking can't stand. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't mind it when it's not the main focus of the map. I feel like Al Mazrah had too much water in the middle of the map.
There's circles were fun.
And same with Vondel, where it was just water everywhere. Like you just
Vondel had a lot of water that was readily available. Yeah. The problem with Vondel was you could always get in the water, or excuse me, my enemy could always get in the water and they're gone.
and they were always the type, we had a group on the Warzone dads, and they loved sitting in the water. They would have whole classes. They would just sit in the water at the end game and just like mop everybody.
With the F-Tac siege.
Yeah.
Oh, tell them to, keep themselves safe. Really bad stuff. Yeah. Terrible news. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the big problem with Vondel. And your loadout would always drop in a fucking canal too. So some guy got there right before you. He's just waiting with his F-Tac sieges. So
and of course, the early days you didn't get a gun in the water, so you just had to sit there and like take it like a champ.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. How do you think that Vondel would play with Omni movement?
Imagine Vondel with Omni movement. That's what I always say. I think it would play. I mean, I loved Vondel, and the fact that it was unceremoniously ripped from my hands. Because when Ashika Island was phased out, if you guys remember, we got a fucking tweet. Yeah, based. We got a fucking blog post. We got like a movie, an unlimited series. It was all this fanfare about some very mid Resurgence map going away. Like, oh yeah, Beanox, we loved working on it. It was so cool to make Castle. So terrible. Anyway, so then that got phased out. All this, again, fanfare. And then one day I log on, Vondel's gone. No one said anything ever. To my knowledge, there was no tweet, there was no blog post, there was no fucking.
I think it's coming back.
Patch note. There are rumors that it comes back. And because there was no ceremony when it left, that could be true. And fuck, do I hope it's true. Back to your question, I loved Vondel for two reasons, primarily of which it remains to this day, of all the Resurgence maps we've had, of being the only Resurgence map that was much larger than any other and had more players to account for that. So when you played it...
And it didn't feel overly crowded.
It didn't, because I think they got the player count, I believe it was 70. Very correct for the size of the map. So it didn't feel too crowded. It still felt like Resurgence, but it was a very cool hybrid between Resurgence and BR, because it had all of the Resurgence rule set, whatever.
Right.
But you actually had to think about your rotations a little bit. You could zone people pretty well, especially because of the particulars of the map. But again, more than anything, I liked the fact that it was bigger, sort of felt like played like a BR, or at least more than all the other Resurgence map did, and it had 70 players. I would like any map that fits that's bigger and has 70 players. I would like another one of those. That would be really cool. But Vondel specifically, even not accounting for that, setting that aside, I think was a really cool map. The canals are a disaster. Take swimming out of video games, or first-person shooter games, excuse me. But besides that, I thought it played really well. It was entirely flat, literally flat, the entire map, which was interesting. That's normally a horrific idea for an FPS game, because you're just creating a bunch of very long sightlines. But it had so many buildings that there were some very long sightlines, but there weren't too many. There weren't like more than you could expect in any other kind of like Resurgence map. And it was just a bunch of, I mean, it depends where you played, but there was a bunch of like rooftop to rooftop fighting. You had to think about your rotates. The audio happened to be fairly good because a lot of those buildings, it was just all like wood stairs,
all hard surfaces,
hard wood, like paneling, whatever. So you would hear people pretty well. You could fight in the staircases. You could jump from rooftop to rooftop. I fucking loved Vondel. How would it play with the movement now? Honestly, I don't think that much differently. I think it would play about the same, because you are not really ambulating much on Vondel. You're more jumping and parachuting everywhere because of all the buildings. If you are running around a lot, you're getting fucking slammed to someone who is on a rooftop. But the way to play Vondel was to like, whatever, drop in, loot, get your loadie, get up. It's kind of how to play every map in any FPS game, but especially on Vondel. Get up, get on a roof somewhere. Okay, we got to rotate. I'm now jumping off this roof, parachuting somewhere else, climbing back up, zipping back up, whatever. Now I'm on this roof. And then my next rotate, I'm jumping and parachuting. So Vondel with Omni movement or unlimited tack sprint, I think it would be improved by those things in the same way that every map is improved by those things. I think that's one of the very few, very good developments we've gotten out of BO6 and the Warzone integration. But I don't think it would really change the character much of Vondel specifically, although I would welcome it.
I think the change in snipers, I think, would really affect that a little bit, because snipers are getting pretty good now. I've been running the
There
intervention.
haven't been much changes to snipers, have there, since Vondel?
The bullet velocity is going up, and the number of one-shot options is going up. And so
we had one-shot options, but they were just tamped down in their range, right? And isn't that still the case for everything with the Moors?
Yeah, but one of the problems has always been bullet velocity, right? So they're slow.
Yeah, that's fair.
So if you want to hit them at a decent range, you got to lead and stuff. Like the intervention right now is hit scan up to 68 meters.
Oh wow! And what's the velocity on that?
1,300.
Okay.
And so it's actually like
I see.
Even at range, even outside of one shot range, it's still like you're still hitting when you aim on the body for the most part. Like unless you're reaching like 300-400 meters out, then you got to start playing it a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
But like, there's some guns that, some of the snipers are feeling a lot better. So before it was like,
I'm certainly getting sniped a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah. COD is healing.
Sniping needs to be good, man. It needs to.
I agree. Unfortunately, I agree.
I don't know. I'm curious to see how it goes.
I hate getting sniped. But yeah.
I hate getting sniped. I love popping heads. I hate it when they do it to me.
Yeah, no. I agree with you, by the way, Jay. I think sniping needs to be viable. I think right now, loath as I am to say it, because fuck do I get sniped all the time, I think they are balanced right now, largely. There might be a sniper here and there that's like a little... Well, there are plenty that are shit, I'm sure. But there might be a couple snipers. I don't snipe enough, so I can't say. But there could be a couple that are maybe a little overtuned, but by and large, the idea of like some snipers are going to one-shot headshot at any range, but they're going to be slow as fuck. They're going to reload slow. They're going to ADS slow. They're going to have a lot of idle sway, maybe, whatever.
The fucking
and then
flinch,
like we're going to have and flinch, and give them a lot of flinch. But then all the other ones or some of the other ones, you know, if the faster they handle as a rule of thumb, the closer in their one shot potential is. That's where we're at right now. I think that idea is a good one. I think that's a good way to balance.
So
snipers.
there are 5 snipers that are actually decent right now. The Moors that you mentioned, the Frostline is decent. The LR762 is decent. The Cat is still one shot everywhere. It seems there are people still using
every range. I mean,
yeah, still using that. And then you know, I sent Sub the Warzone Meta or whatever posted a build on it, and because he and I have always talked about the intervention. You know,
what a blown marketing opportunity that was.
Yeah, so they rolled it out, and then it was a piece of shit. Like it was never viable in Warzone. So they posted the other day that, you know, there was a build that was a one-shot build. So I sent that to him, and he fucking used it, and he sent me a couple clips while I was out of town, and I watched. I was like, holy shit, okay, this is actually happening. So
yeah,
I built it when I got back, and I used it the other night. I still like the 7.62 a little better, but dude, the Imperium feels pretty good right now.
Yeah. Interesting. I've also been seeing some Victus
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Victus XMR. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some good, like, it's in a good spot where there's a variety of it, you know, because for a minute it was like the only thing you could use was the Cat AMR.
Yep.
Everything else was trash.
Yep.
And it was like, I hate that gun. I don't know why. It just feels like trash to me. I just can't. I pick it up and I'm like, I'm not hitting my shots. I don't like it. I don't know if it's like having the big mag eat up that screen. It just like messes with my head somehow.
I think it has a lot of idle sway too.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't love
haven't used it in
so
a long
I avoid
time,
it.
but yeah. Yeah.
But like, you know, there are always other guns, and you know, for a while it's like the only way you could one shot was you had to have those explosive rounds, which, you know, reduced your bullet velocity to about the
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, so I'm gonna throw this across, you know, the rooftop, and you know, in 10 minutes it will arrive somewhere.
Yeah.
I have a clip somewhere. I shot at somebody. He moved out of the way, and his buddy stepped in and took the shot.
That's hilarious. Holy shit.
And I'm like,
bad, dude.
I'll take it. But like, what the hell?
I remember that.
And
now.
Yeah,
you're right about the velocity.
Yeah, I was like,
I remember
all right.
that now.
But I think sniping is in a good spot overall.
I agree.
You know, there's variety. It's not insanely. They're not overpowered. You know, but they're still useful. Like they're still effective.
Exactly. I agree.
And so,
and the
I
huge
think that's a
glint
good
too.
spot.
Like I think they're balanced.
I can see them a mile away.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think weapon balancing is in a pretty good spot. I wish they'd tone down the Cypher just a little bit. It's a little OP. But like, you know, I've been playing around with some other off meta guns just for shits and frisbees. I've been running the MCW just as an AR
with the conversion kit.
No.
Oh, really?
It's only about 80 seconds slower at
range. Let me see how mad I should be getting at that. Hold on, but go on.
and then even running that, and the nice thing about it is it doesn't fucking move. Like you can just put shots.
Yeah, it doesn't have recoil.
Like it's 60 rounds. It doesn't. It's not, the fire rate's not so high that you just spend your entire magazine in a heartbeat. Like you can just suppress, and then when they try to peek anyways, you're just still shooting in the window. I put up a clip a little while ago. I don't know if I posted it or not, but literally, like this guy like is sniping in a window trying to hold me. I'm just like, I just didn't lay off the trigger on that window, and the gas forced him out, and I just lit him up.
Yeah,
and it was like, cool. It doesn't move.
Yeah. Time to kill is not terrible on it. I've now pulled it up, but
toe to toe, it's going to lose to the Cypher if you are toe to toe. But if you get like the first shot or two in, you know, it'll hold its own.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, and there's something to say about practical time to kill versus theoretical.
On paper.
Well,
exactly.
And thank fuck they nerfed that M4 with that buffer weight stock and the 100-round mag. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Man.
You're telling me.
I was on that shit after about 2 weeks. I was already bored of it. And I mean, I'm starting to kind of get bored of the Cypher too. And I really hope when we go into Verdansk and they roll out, they bring back these other weapons, that there's more viability from other weapons that can compete for the meta, not the abs. We don't need an absolute meta. We just need a meta category with about 4 or 5 different weapons that you can use. Because, dude, it's fucking boring when all you can use is one gun. And when you die, oh, guess what? I just died to a Cypher. I died to an XM4. That's a shocker. Like,
Yeah.
I want viability from more weapons. I want more choice.
Agree. I think it's really hard to do for ARs though. Like I think with SMGs, that's a lot easier to do because, and my example is always late Verdansk. So after the Cold War integration, there were, I mean, it's at one point, I don't remember exactly, but there were like 4, 5 SMGs that were all viable and like even meta maybe, depending on what you wanted. So like OTS 9, that's going to be the fastest killing gun up to like 3.6 meters. But so like that doesn't sound good, but at 3.6 meters, it's fucking a lot faster than everything else. So if your play style
on
is
it too, right?
Say again?
It was the fastest moving gun.
Yeah, it had really fast move speed. Yeah. So like if your play style was to just get inside someone's ass, which a lot of people enjoy doing that, that was your gun. But then also, you know, after that, whatever 3.6 meters, it fell behind a lot of other things, like the Cold War MP5 that had like a very good time to kill, lost to the OTS and that very short first damage range of it. But outside of that, Cold War MP5 killed quite a bit faster. It also reloaded slow, had slower handling, movement, and had, I think, a decent amount of recoil. Not too much. It wasn't like terrible, but like, and then there were others. I don't remember any more examples right now. But like with SMGs, I think you can do that, and it's pretty straightforward. With ARs, I think it's really hard.
I think with ARs, you have to really do it with recoil.
I agree.
Where
yes.
You'll have guns. So like there was like the Cold War AK killed very fast on paper, but it had a really wobbly recoil. So if you could get used to the recoil, then you could use it and it would be very effective. And then you had like the EM2, which was slower to fire. And like the recoil was like like I remember the recoil charts. It was like a straight line that went off the chart.
Yeah, it was
like,
a lot of vertical. Yeah.
But if you could master it, and that was one of those things that I actually got good at. I love the EM2. I could do really well with it, but it was slow firing. So if you missed a shot, you were in trouble. But if you hit your shots, it was very, very effective. And just playing with those parameters where it's like, you know, if you want to kill fast, then you have to be good at using the gun. And I think that I think with MW2, they got away from that. They started saying like, we're going to, instead of it being like a recoil pattern that you have to master, it was like, we're going to make the recoil patterns random. And then we'll just pick one that's
literally
just
random.
Like
I forgot about that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and not even like they do random a little bit where it's like, you know, all right, there's some variation between like, all right, maybe it's like it curves a little bit more this time and next time it doesn't. For a while, it would like, sometimes it would recoil to the left and then sometimes
left versus
to the right. Right.
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
What the fuck is that? Right. How am I supposed to learn that? Right.
Yeah, that's insane.
And so all is nuts. And, but like, you know, late Cold War, and then even in Verdansk or in Caldera, there was a lot of time where like you would have guns that were very, very powerful on paper, and you pick them up and you're like, I can't use this thing. Like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Like, how can anybody, you know, hit their shots with this? And so that's how you balance ARs, right? And then guns that are easy to use take longer to kill, right? Like they should add 20% to the time to kill. But now you have this like, oh, we'll make the fastest firing, like the fastest killing gun easy to use. And then it's like, well, thanks.
Yeah, then it's a no-brainer, like Jay was saying. Yeah, then everyone just uses Cypher. Because, yeah, exactly. I think that is the way to do it. And, yeah, we did have, like, sort of that once upon a time. My favorite example I always go to is the Kilo versus the AMAX. That was, like, the very original. It was, like, the Kilo kills slower than the AMAX, assuming you're hitting every bullet with both guns. But here's the thing. Depending on who you are, you're hitting every bullet on a target at different intervals. So if you're Biffle, you're hitting every bullet on a target up to 2 kilometers. Okay, you should use the AMAX.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, you should use the AMAX because that's going to kill faster for you because you're fucking nuts. But if you're, you know, Tom, Dick, or Harry, then you're only hitting every bullet with the AMAX up to 26 meters. But with the Kilo, you're hitting every bullet up to 38. Okay, well, for you, we got to have a conversation. It's probably going to be the Kilo for you, by the way. And then there's a bunch of people in between, obviously. So it's like, and also your play style. Like, do you sit on rooftops with claymores shooting people quite far away? Okay, you should probably use the Kilo then also, because everyone's going to miss bullets, you know, at like 80 plus meters with an AR. Or with those 2 ARs. But are you, you know, doing kill races where you're trying to like get quite close to people and most of your even AR gunfights are like 20 meters? You probably use the AMAX. So that was my favorite. That's my favorite example of like good weapon balance. Neither of those guns were like overpowered. And one was not clearly better than the other. It just depended on what you wanted
their
to
play
do.
style.
Yeah. But like now it's like the XM4 was just an egregious example, miscarriage of weapon balance, obviously. Yeah. 100 round mag that reloaded as fast as a 30 round mag. ADS time was not significantly impeded, had insane bullet velocity. This was with the insane wall bangs. Great fire rate, so it was extremely forgiving, and it had no recoil once the buffer weight stock came out. Yeah, it was disgusting.
And no movement penalty either, by the way. I have a clip where I'm on top of that hotel that's got like the blue outline on top of it, and it's got the buy station in the middle. I killed 2 guys. Oh, yeah. But like, I was able to like close distance with those guys over by one of the air conditioners as if I had a fucking SMG. And on top of that, I wasn't missing shots. So I deleted those guys pretty goddamn quick. Like you basically had an LMG that operated with no recoil and fucking like a SMG.
And reloaded way faster than any 100 round LMG ever in any FPS game. Yeah, I agree. It was dumb.
I personally didn't care because Warzone didn't work for me, so I didn't have to deal with it.
Oh, it no.
Nice.
He just got to where he's been able to play.
It was a good time to sit out. Yeah.
I this season is the first full season I'll play of Warzone this year. Like I have less than I think 10 hours this season played.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Well, I mean, it's better now than it's ever been post integration. Which isn't to say it's great.
Yeah,
but
I think they were trying to do. They're trying to combat all the two boxing and VPNing and shit. And I think what they did is they would basically like prescribe the data path that that it would take for you to the server to fight that. So they'd call your like I think they did a routing thing, like they forced the routing instead of like letting the network do its own thing, which is how VPNs worked, right? Because they would just route traffic differently.
I see.
And they were routing my traffic through a bad spot of internet somewhere, because I was routinely between 7 and 30% packet loss every single game.
Jesus.
And so, it was
2% like unplayable. So yeah, that's crazy.
I'm at the point where 2% is like nice.
That sucks, dude. Fuck me. I back out on 1%. It bugs the fuck out of me. Yeah. AAA Studio.
They finally
connection is king, by the way.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, allegedly. Shockingly, the VPNs, everybody's VPN seems to be working again, and my issues have gone away, so I can play fine.
Oh, that's good.
Do you still have your
of
code?
Course, everybody who sucks at the game has gone away, so I'm left. I played ranked. I am a bronze. I was a bronze 2 because of all the ranked I've played, and I died 3 times to people with World Series of Warzone banners.
Right. Who are either literal World Series of Warzone players whom you should not be in a lobby with, or cheaters who unlock all those things. Also, you should not be in a lobby with, nor should anyone, actually.
Yeah, they checked out. And the fact that I was my rank in ranked facing that is just like, I'm like, maybe I'm done playing ranked.
That's why, if I get to Diamond, so I'm almost to Plat 2 right now, but if I get to Diamond, it's going to mean more to me than when I got to Diamond on Al Madra, because we didn't start seeing like Dongi and those fucking guys until on Al Mazrah until I got into Diamond. Now, dude, we went up against Huskers and his team fucking when I was in gold, and we ended up killing them because we were ratting our asses off, for fucking SR. And they made the wrong fucking
27
push,
claymores.
Yeah. But no, we're consistently seeing Crim, Erie, and top 250. I'm even seeing that in pubs. But you know what, though, dude? I don't fucking care. Listen, if it's once in a while, I don't care in pubs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, give me that randomness, right? Like, I want to, if I'm going to be farmed, I want to also be able to farm, right? Like, that's kind of the way this year feels for me for SBMM. But I mean, like, I'm not just in burger lobbies all the time. I'm seeing Crims, Eries, fucking top 250s on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
Do you still have your code with SBMM off, or are you guys still doing that?
No, I don't believe we do anymore.
Oh, okay.
No. It might still work. You could try it.
I bought it.
Dropshot,
I used it last year. I just didn't see. I had such a bad fucking year last year on Warzone. Like, I just didn't see a difference. So I haven't used a VPN since probably May of last year. I still have it.
Yeah, their effectiveness right now is also disputed. So I don't know.
Well,
the most consistent. Players. There's nothing. If only insane players are left playing, then no VPN's going to save you.
You are the filler.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they're fucking lobbies.
Yeah. But the consistent way we've found to play shitburger lobbies is to just queue without a full team. It's like duo quads, for example. You'll get shitburger terrible lobbies. And then if you go to 3 or 4 in quads, it's night and day. Just it's Brolic every day. We see Brolic every day.
No shit.
And if you guys don't know who that is, he's level like 600 and he streams every day, content creator, pro basically.
World Series of Warzone competitor. He competed.
I believe so, yeah. And just routinely fucks my ass. I'm some guy, by the way. So, yeah, it's really,
I got fucked really over by Rallied a couple times. We've had fucking DJ Moss in our lobbies. It's been fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's matchmaking is not ideal right now.
It's not. But like you said, too, it's like there are so few people playing probably right now that it's like there isn't really much anyone can do. It's like there are only good players left playing. Like, who's going to be playing Warzone still when the game is in a horrific and stale state? Especially right now, it's very
they're all
stale.
either in plunder or boot camp.
I don't think that's. I'm not entirely sure about that because, dude, I'm getting a pretty good mix in my lobbies. Like, there's sometimes, like, in the gulag, I'll fucking kill somebody, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, trying to climb up the backside of the ladder?
I see them sometimes,
They were probably
too.
They're probably my teammates. I take that back. They're definitely there because when I play, because the time that I get on, I usually solo play. I'll drop in by myself and take randos, and it's like half the time I'm like, you're trying to lick the paint off the wall on your television screen, aren't you? Like, you're literally up there trying to like lick that wall, and it's like it's a video game. You can't lick the paint. Like, you can try. You're just licking the screen. Like, that's not how it works. And it's like, God, I played a game ranked yesterday, and it was like, dude kept pinging for cash, and I'm like, he's at the buy station, so I run over, I drop my cash so he could buy loadout, and he buys his fucking guns and runs off and dies.
You son of a bitch!
And I'm like,
that's
you
insane,
motherfucker, dude.
Yeah,
you had the money, had the money, and now you died, and you bought your guns. What the fuck are you doing?
And now I'm gonna die to your guns that guy who killed you just looted off of you. Thanks. Yeah.
And it was like I had enough left. Like my other teammate got into a gunfight. I bailed him out, killed somebody who had a shit ton of money. I bought loadout, threw it. That guy somehow got out of his gulag in one piece. Probably one of those gulags that just fails halfway through, and so it's like you're both still alive, and then it just ends, and you come back. Because he certainly wasn't one to kill anybody.
Right.
And so got loadout, and he gets on the mic and is like, Oh, loadout. I forgot about that.
Dude, that's when you wished you could fucking team kill in Warzone. Like, I would fucking put a bullet in that kid and fucking move on. Never buy it back, nothing.
If I wasn't comms banned, I would have been.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that tracks. That's insane. Yeah. That's what Discord's good for, by the way, man. Find teammates.
That's all I did. Yeah. I'm always in Discord, but it's like, randos. I don't know who these people are. I'm not going to invite them to Discord.
I mean, procure teammates from.
Did you the other day? Did you play with Jordan? JKIHN.
JKN. Yeah. I think I played with him yesterday a little bit. And then besides that, I think I played with him maybe once,
he's
like the week before or something.
Sweatbag. He's a friend of ours. I played with him last night, actually, because we told him that we were having you on. He's like, "Oh yeah, I just played with him today or whatever." So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Sweaty motherfucker.
He is a fucking sweatbag, dude. Holy shit!
Gotta get the phone. Yeah.
But it's just not. It's not a place. Warzone's not a place you go right now to have fun. It's just not enjoyable to play. It's like, all right, I gotta lock in and focus and be like, turn off my ADHD for like an hour.
Yeah, you got to be locked in as fuck. And again, it's because of the lack of variability in the matchmaking, largely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and the map's not great either. It's not like. It's not like Urzikstan's doing itself any favors with the matchmaking as it is.
It was decent, and they fucked it up when they had to revert it back to season 1 of last year. Like, when they put Superstore in and fixed a lot of the light and some of the other issues on the map, it was decent last year. And then, like Sub has said several times on the podcast, like when they decided to roll with it again this year and add the Omni movement and had to revert back a lot of shit, it just really, I think it created pretty bad sentiment, honestly, around Warzone, and it's been a contributor to a lot of the problem.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, I have to run a perk tracker specifically because I can't see people in buildings. I just can't see them. So if I don't run tracker, I'm dead every single time if they're in a building. If I do run it, I'm still dead 70% of the time because I have to get a shot on them first to get them to light up so I can see them, which you would think is kind of like a core fundamental aspect of a first-person shooter game, is being able to see people to shoot at. But I don't know. Activision disagrees, I guess. Or they agreed last year at the end when they did fix most of the lighting in Urzikstan and then also reverted it for no reason.
Well, and
why? And why did they do the reversion? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't.
I hate the devs. I hate them.
I don't know.
They bug me, man.
The technical reasons as to why. I know that I have a couple clips from this integration early on, like first week or two, where I'm just about to lose my fucking shit because I literally look down a stairwell and I can't see somebody that's shooting at me. Like.
Right.
And I had another one where I ran by a building, looked in a door, didn't see anything, and then I got shot in the fucking face. Like, like that shit
all the fucking time.
I had one last night. I was running into a building, and it was, it's pitch black in there, and I'm outside. And I step into the door frame, and I am staring at where the muzzle flash is about to come from, but I don't see anything until I'm pretty much dead, and then I'm like.
And then all you see is the muzzle flash.
Yes.
He's just standing there, staring at me, wandering into this building, and he's just like pre-aiming at my head and just unloads on me. And I'm like, I don't move at all. And I'm like, well, I look like an idiot. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
And then even outside, you got the fucking Terminator skin where you can only see that half of the goddamn time, depending on what it's running by. And it's like,
the new Groot skin.
The gulag is, you got so many dark areas. Like, and I said this last week. I'm like, that should be like the brightest part on the fucking map. I should be able to see what I'm shooting at every time, dude.
Yes.
Like,
100%.
It's so fucking frustrating to me when I can't see what I'm trying to fight. Like, I just don't like that.
Or at least highlight everybody. Like,
do something.
Highlight them.
Do anything to fix the lighting like you did last time. Highlight them like you kind of did in BO4 multiplayer. Do fucking something. Because this is one of the two arguably most fundamental aspects of a first-person shooter game, being able to see people and hear them. Obviously.
Can't imagine playing a mouse and keyboard right now because it's like,
fuck no. That's why
you
I gave
actually
up.
have to see people, right?
Yeah. Well, you especially have to see them on keyboard and mouse. Yeah, exactly.
You talked about audio. Can we agree that I should never hear the fucking motor of a refrigerator running over everything else. Like, I don't want to hear that.
I agree.
I don't want to hear a trophy system, spinning around. Like, I want to hear footsteps, gunshots, parachutes, which are still fucked up.
Based. Yeah, totally agree. How about when you walk by a car and it starts spontaneously? Have you guys encountered this?
Yeah, yes.
It will just start, the engine will just rev up for no fucking reason.
Well,
the game isn't good.
It makes me feel paranoid because that's happened randomly, and I'm like looking around the mini-map like, is there fucking somebody around here?
Yeah, no. The engine just turned on. Remote, I don't know. I hate the devs. No one hates the devs enough, actually. This year has been such a fucking mess. And it's unconscionable, especially when it gets to the map in particular. It is extra insane because they like fixed a lot of the visibility issues in late MW3, and then they added Superstore, which honestly I can take or leave. But like the lighting thing was a massive upgrade, and they did all the work to fix that, and then just reverted it, and still haven't added it back in. Fucking why? Why did they do that? What is the rational explanation? I don't know. It makes no sense to me from an economic standpoint, from a moral standpoint, an ethical standpoint. I don't get it. It adds nothing to the game where I can't see people. And this is a problem we fixed.
Yeah.
And then we forgot we fixed it. They do this so often with so many things. The problem was they made the game that way in the
first place. They made the game that way in the first place when they first did it. And I think what happened is they sat there and they said, at some point after they'd been working on Avalon, they said that we're going to change things because, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, that works so well. They have a great track record when they make big changes late in the dev cycle and they don't follow through. It works well. Yeah. And they said, we're going to do Verdansk instead of Avalon. And I think what they did is they said, we're not going to be ready for Verdansk on time. So they pushed it back to now, right? It's supposed to be March, but be April, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think what they did is they just took what the MW3 map at that time, and they just slammed all the mechanics into that map, and then they said, this is what we're going to launch with. And then they didn't update it as MW3 went on. They took it, so like if you because the dev cycles are like a couple years, right? It's like probably the time that they're physically working on the game is probably like a 2-year span. And so they sat there and they said, when they sat down to make the change and said, we need a map to launch with, they just grabbed what MW3 had, and MW3 was probably launching or about to launch. So it was probably like 2 months out from launch of MW3 Warzone. And they just grabbed what they had. And then they were like, we're not going to spend dev time bringing in the updates that you're creating, right? As you go forward, we're not going to update our build because it's working. It's fine. It'll launch. And then we're going to replace it anyways.
That makes sense. Yeah. Bad idea, but it does make sense.
It sucks. It makes sense, but it sucks. Yeah. It sucks for us that have to sit there and play with this.
It's unacceptable is what it is, but
people will forgive them if Verdansk doesn't suck.
Oh, of course they will. Yeah, especially if the COD fucking retard player base. I'm one of them, by the way. We will absolutely forgive them. Forgive them is the wrong word. We'll forget about it. It'll disappear from our memory, and then in 1 year, there are going to be bait tweets that say, oh man, take me back, and it's going to be a picture of fucking Popov power, like that was an awesome POI. God, I hate Call of Duty players, including myself, and maybe especially.
I'm part of the problem too, because even despite all this fuckery, guess what, dude? I've bought 3 or 4 bundles this year, and
did you buy the turtle skins?
I bought one, and dude, I do have the black Sobo. Sorry, I know, bro. I know. I've heard you say it several times, man. I was afraid
really
to
bad
tell
stuff,
you.
Man. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you and millions of other people, unfortunately. Yeah. So
all the fucking turtles you see everywhere.
Yep.
I bought the event pass because it had the skateboard blueprint, like the dope turtle skateboard, running around and beating somebody to death with the fucking.
You can get the skateboard without buying it, by the way.
You can't get the blueprint though.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you watched the Turtles back in the day, like the original Turtle cartoon.
Not really, no.
But like they had like the skateboard. It was like a jet powered skateboard. It was cool, and so like the nostalgia bait for like $10 credits or whatever the fuck 1,000.
They actually they did this like these bundles right as far as like staying true to like what they were like these are the turtles from like the movie, the first Ninja Turtles movie that came out. Like it's pretty fucking accurate, and they didn't blow it. They could have done like a modern take on the turtles and made them all like have wigs or something, and it would have, you know, gone over.
Well, one thing Activision does really well consistently is update their store.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the meme, but it's true. The store always works. Hey, I can't fucking see people, but the store works. Okay. Hey, where'd the zipline audio go? No one knows.
You know what? It's back because I shit on it. I shit on a kid that tried to zipline me. I was on that building, that hotel building overlooking the soccer field, and I was, you know the bridge south of downtown.
Yeah, the train tracks over by
down there.
The port area.
Yeah, there's that building. Okay. There's that 8-story building or whatever. So I was on top of that, and I was sniping at people in the apartment buildings. And then the guys I was sniping, I knocked them like 5 times, and they just kept getting back up.
Yeah,
it was great. And then they sent an airstrike on my head and then pushed my building. So I, jumped off, got back up there. And they pushed that zip line one after the other. And the only reason that they eventually killed me is because I ran out of fucking bullets in both of my guns, and they kept coming up the zip line.
You got the audio though? You got the audio for it?
I did. And it was like, I was weird. Like sniping it, because I guess there were 2 teams because, they were, I'm sitting there and I heard the zip line come up. And so I was like, and I was playing on the PC. So I had all the audio shit going.
Yeah.
And it was like, I could actually hear it. And I'm like, you're coming up the zip line. Shot one, he died. And then the other one came up and I shot him and he jumped off. And then the other one came up and I shot him and he died. And then another one came up again. And eventually I ran out of bullets. And they killed me.
Went dry. Yeah, that'll happen. Well, I'm happy for you, but because I don't hear fucking zip lines. I heard them every single time in season 1. But this is what Call of Duty does. They create a problem. They fix the problem after way too long, and then they reintroduce the same fucking problem. It's not new problems I'm getting. That's one thing. Hey, man, a new thing broke. Okay, fine. But don't create a problem, fix it, demonstrate that you're capable of fixing this problem, and then re-break it again. The exact same thing. How? How do we have zipline audio in season 1? Everyone's happy with it. No one's complaining. And then without any patch note, blog post, shower thought from Ted Timmons, or fucking community update, they just re-break it. No comms. No one says anything.
And then it takes months to fucking fix it. Like, the parachute audio right now, to me, is still fucked. Like, I feel like I'm
have no
fucking
idea where they
crazy. I can't tell where the fuck the parachute is coming from. I can hear it, but I just don't know where.
Yeah, that's been an issue since the integration.
I fucking hate that shit, dude. Yeah. But so we're kind of wrapping.
But at least my own footsteps have reverb.
Yeah. I can hear myself running.
Yeah.
Shit devs, shit fucking devs. It's just so retarded, man. And they make a pre-launch blog post sucking themselves off and giving GIF diagrams of audio waves of footsteps.
And then they don't put that.
No one cares. No one wants reverb. And then obviously everyone hates it because fucking of course they do. Because I think I'm hearing other people, but I'm hearing myself. Terrible idea. Anyone who's ever played the game would have never done this in the first place, obviously. And then they just revert it to the point where there's basically no reverb now, except for a couple of areas sometimes.
Is there any other?
So why did they go through all the labor of adding the fucking reverb if they just have to remove it? Just a huge waste of time.
Realism.
A huge waste of time. They could have spent that time re-updating the lighting, for example, or having or fixing
installing
quick
an
fix.
anti-cheat.
But it takes them 4 times. They could have started that train sooner. Or remember how you mantle on top of rather than over thinner high ledges now? You don't. They've said that patch note twice, I think, maybe 3 times. No, it's fake.
Still fling myself off rooftops,
and I'm dead.
On the regular.
Yeah, and I'm dead. So I
don't like get all pissed off and yell at the game, and I actually pull my shooting time, and then I have like the 4 guys below me that I've been trying to avoid being shot from, all just being like, "Oh, there's a parachute," because Mountaineer doesn't work.
Yeah, because Mountaineer also doesn't work.
Is there any
the game's
game
terrible
that makes you feel as fucking crazy as this one? I mean, like, seriously.
No, not even close.
Like,
no.
Yeah, there are plenty. I don't play them.
But
EA, everything by EA. Anything by EA.
Pretty much.
Like
I've heard horror stories about other publishers and devs.
Before I played Call of Duty, like before I got back into Call of Duty, I took the entire jetpack era off. But I was playing NHL, and it was just a fucking disaster. Like, if you think matchmaking is bad now, like, Ice Tilt was a thing. Like, you could be up by like 4 goals and just you could have them to
goals.
You could have them to the point where like they couldn't move, and all of a sudden, like your goalie just wouldn't stop a fucking beach ball. Like, it would just be like slide the wrong direction, or like, every action, like, it was just so obvious that like the game would in the fourth quarter or the third period or whatever. Football is the same. I'm playing a little bit of Madden right now. It's the same fucking thing.
Same thing.
It's like all of a sudden, like, your guy can't fucking catch the ball,
or you throw it.
And like, but their defender, who hasn't done anything all game, can like intercept it with one finger up in the air, being like,
I'm
"I got
fucking
it."
5 yards away, dude. Like, you don't even throw it near the motherfucker, and you still get an interception. But
that would bug me.
So we are kind of wrapping up, but like, what are your thoughts on Verdansk? Like, what are you looking for? What are you hoping for?
What I'm hoping for will not happen. So like, all the minutia, I'm actually not super interested in, because whatever they want to do, are there going to be balloons or not? I'll figure it out. I don't really care either way. I don't have that strong of an opinion on it.
Same.
How are snipers going to function? Don't really care. What new fucking guns are we going to get? New gun skins? Super don't care. So the minutia, like, actually doesn't matter that much to me. What I'm hoping for is a game that functions. That's my hope. But that is completely outside the realm of possibility. As certainly on day one. And with the track record Ravens had up until now, I said this a couple months ago now, until the next integration, don't expect this Warzone to work. It won't. Unless I don't know what they could possibly do. Get an entirely new dev team and then get them online in like 2 weeks after hiring them, which is also just impossible. This year's Warzone's just chalked. So what I'm hoping for is the game to work. I'm also hoping for accurate patch notes. So season 3 is going to come out, April 3rd. We're going to get the patch notes for it a week prior to that. I'm also hoping those reflect reality in the actual patch. But again, literally, not once for a season or season reloaded have the patch notes reflected reality. Not even, they haven't even been 90% accurate. Any of those. Season 1 reloaded, season 2 reloaded. Not even 90% of those patch notes have reflected reality. So that's what I'm hopeful for, is to not be lied to and for the game to work. There is an infinitesimal chance that those are going to be the case on the launch of season 3. I would bet anyone any amount of money, and I'm not joking. Within season 3, will the game function? Maybe. I mean, some people are like, oh, well, the reason Warzone's really bad right now is because they're spending all their time on Verdansk. And then and therefore the game's going to work when Verdansk comes out. I could accept that Verdansk, in terms of map potential issues, will be fine. So for example, maybe they've been spending all this time on the map so that the lighting's really good in buildings or not terrible. Fine. That's possible. But that doesn't address issues that are in Warzone, the litany of issues that are in Warzone, that are completely unrelated to the map. Like mantling over rather than on top of thinner high ledges. Or perks just not working.
Yep.
Or the water functionality just not working. Now, maybe there won't be water, but still. So, like, there are so many issues that have nothing to do with the map that even if I were to grant the argument that the reason Warzone's in a bad state, or Urzikstan Warzone is in a bad state, is because they're only focused on Verdansk, that still would not account for many of the glaring problems that we have with Warzone. So it's not going to work on day one. It might work in the mid-season. I doubt it.
I expect issues.
My hope is that by the end of the first week, they have it functioning. I'm wondering how much they're bad. Like, I wonder how many of the problems that we've got, they're just like, we're not going to push out an update. I mean, obviously they're not pushing out an update. We haven't seen shit in weeks.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we've seen a major update since Reloaded
Did
dropped.
one fucking thing in the last patch notes. It was for the Superi. That was all I saw for Warzone. The one that just this last week.
Yeah, the Superi really needed a nerf. It was super overpowered.
Oh, yeah.
Retarded devs. Retarded waste of time devs.
Well, it's
yeah.
like, why?
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly. Why? Yeah.
it wasn't broken.
Terrible use of time. Terrible priorities.
That's the shit that bugs me, though. It's like, they'll do that, but then they'll let the XM4 and RPK go for fucking 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Exactly. I remember in Warzone 2, we were deep into the RPK meta. Okay, because if you guys don't remember, or those of you listening, the RPK was the only gun you could use for months, literal months.
Yeah.
I want to say it was like 5.
Felt like it.
Entirely too fucking long.
Yeah.
And in the midst of that, they had the audacity to release a patch, and the patch note read, nerfed the raw LMG damage to the right thigh from 38 to 37 when used in single fire mode. Who the fuck has ever put a belt fed light machine gun in single fire mode? This was a real patch note. This isn't a joke, but it's so insane. Meanwhile, the RPK is still the only gun I'm allowed to use. This is the Superi is one example of many, like that raw example also, where they do this. Their priorities are a complete mystery. It's a black box trying to divine what their thought process is.
All the way back to Caldera is when they really screwed that up, because they were, if you remember, for a while in Black Ops and then in Black Ops and in Caldera for the first half of Vanguard seasons, they changed the meta dramatically, like every couple weeks, like every 2 or 3 weeks. They were really shaking things up. And I know why they changed. They changed it because, and I have this, I've told the story before. Like I have a buddy, and he, classic, he worked full time, had a wife at the time, had, so like he would get on, and his time in the game was like from like 9 to 11, like Monday through Friday. Like that's when he played the game. And I remember it was the UTM 8. Right, that LMG that was like, you put it in 3-round bursts, and it was like brutally effective. And I was telling him, you got to level this gun up. This gun is awesome. It's amazing. Like, you will love playing this gun. And I dropped one for him, and he picked it up and was like, "Oh, I see what you're saying." So he spent a week leveling this bitch up to like level 68 to unlock the attachment that made it good, and he did it. And we ran it, and he had such a good time. He was like, "All right, I've been missing out. I'm sorry. You were right. This is a good gun." And the next morning, they killed it. They nerfed it to the dirt. And he was like, "I'm never doing that again. I will just run the same gun forever."
Yeah.
And he has. And he doesn't change guns until something gets absolutely destroyed. Yeah. Because it was such a traumatic experience. Which I understand. I don't blame him. But it was like that sort of thing. Like, so they at that point they were like, "Oh, we're not going to do that again. We're going to gradually move the needle," right? And that, Ted told us that, and they are gradually moving the needle. It just takes 6 months.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a middle ground.
A new gun in the store.
Well, all right. So Sub brought up something that kind of made me think of what we've been talking about on the timeline a little bit this last week or so. What the fuck are they going to do for the people that are coming back who haven't been playing? Like, are those people, especially with how long it takes to level guns? I mean, are they counting on a store bundle? Which, okay. Or, like, those people are fucked. They're not even going to have perks.
Yeah, that's a lot of the discourse on Twitter right now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the good news is none of the perks do anything.
They don't work anyway, I guess.
Half of them don't work, and the ones that do work they don't make a difference. Just loot them.
Yeah, it's a fun thought experiment, and there are a lot of things that they could do that would be a very good idea and would be helpful to the community. But this is all fantasy. And it's you know, it's fun to engage in, like, oh, what should they do? And we could come up with a bunch of cool ideas. Like they could make custom class presets that have like meta perks in them, so you don't have to unlock them, but you can still run them. For example, they could you know, put the new guns that are certainly going to be OP on day one in like the armory, so you can unlock it, or just give them to everyone even, or do some community event where everyone unlocks them at the same time. And the fake event where you say, oh, you get 1 trillion kills as a community and you unlock the gun. They're not counting kills, by the way. That's just fake. It's just a timer. And then they can't keep track of messages. Yeah, as you went over earlier, they literally can't. So that's just fake. They love their psyops. And then, you know, give everyone the gun at the same time. So then everyone's leveling it at the same time, or they're starting to level at the same time.
Or put it in like the first part of the battle pass, so it's like you play for 5 minutes and you get it.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, there's so many things they could do, but this is, I mean, again, it's just fantasy. What are they going to do? Jay said it. They're going to make a bundle in the store. It's going to be the Welcome Back to Verdansk bundle. It's going to have the fucking rose sweat skin in it, and it's going to have a blueprint for the 2 meta guns that come out on the launch of season 3. Yep. And the blueprint is going to have what the devs think are meta attachments. They'll be terrible builds. And then it's going to cost 8,000 COD points or some atrocious amount. And that's what they're going to do.
Who's in charge of building the blueprints? Because none of them are worth a fuck. Like the attachments.
Well, Activision devs don't play their own game. Yeah.
There we go. Waiting for that.
Yeah, that's what I always say. Activision devs do not play their own game. It's true. And the proof is in the patch notes. The proof is in the game itself, obviously. Because if I were a dev, as someone who actually plays the game, I'm never changing the raw MG single fire damage profile, ever. Obviously. So you don't even have to play the game to know that. But still, if you do play the game, things like that are put on the farthest of back burners. They're never addressed. You address things that actually matter to people that actually play the game. But they don't. And the same thing is with the blueprints. Yeah, they are made, they are concocted by people that don't play the game, have never queued once, or if they do, they play fucking Plunder.
So I actually have a friend that's a dev that works on the game, and I remember they told me
what company.
I can't say. It's High Moon.
Works on Warzone.
Yeah.
So a Raven dev. Okay.
Yeah. No. But in any case, he said one of the builds they used in one of their play tests was the fucking AK-47 with a goddamn sniper scope on it. I shit you not.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Great question. Why?
Why?
Great question. Yeah. It looks cool in the gunsmith for that guy.
But yeah, it has no practical function. None.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. And I think too, like the prioritization is going to always be, as someone who's done dev work before, I'll say that prioritization is one of those things that's hard to translate to like people that don't understand the back end of things, because some stuff like I'm going to change the right thigh thing, right, is literally like one of those bugs that somebody can look at and fix in 2 seconds and not have to think about it. And they can just throw that out there, and then they get to put that in their little, like, you know, all right, check this off the bug list, and like it goes into their, you know, report of like, I fixed this bug, you know, X number of bugs this month.
Yeah, because all bugs are treated the same to their managers or something, I'm sure. Yeah, which is absolutely not actually the case.
You know, it's like, but doing a bigger sweep, a bigger change, right? Like there's definitely going to be some structure that they have to go through if they're going to make bigger changes to like, you know, mess with it, you know, to fix the RPK and make it not obnoxious. And there's a lot of little bugs. Like we'll see a lot of bugs that get fixed early on where it's like, all right, you fix this thing that like happened once and it's such an easy fix. It's like the low hanging fruit. They'll grab a lot of that. But like the bigger fixes, like a lot of times they have to go through a whole process to ship them, and they'll try and batch all those together. And then inevitably somebody's fixing something that breaks something they already fixed, and they have to stop and fix that shit. It's like, it gets messy, and like it does get messy when you're trying to fix a lot of stuff at once. Like these guys do, where they try and deploy stuff, you know, it's not like a rolling deployment. So like in my company, we went from this model where it was like we shipped fixes every Thursday night which was cool to sleep in the office and, not get home till 3 a.m.
Jeez.
And then we switched to a different architecture that was, that enabled rolling deployments, right? So when something was done, we could ship it immediately. And the problem with doing this style of like batching everything and shipping it is you inevitably put something in the patch that breaks something unexpected. Like you just have no reason to like go and check that to see if some feature that you never use, like nobody ever uses, and then the one person that uses it makes a big deal about it, and you're like, well, fuck.
yeah, sure. I get it. Yeah,
it just sucks. But the problem is like, at the same time, you're delivering this to millions of people who you break your product, and then everybody has to suffer with it, and it takes you a while to fix it, and then it sucks.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, game dev's hard. Okay, whatever. I just don't. The dev apology bugs me a lot because I can accept that it's more complicated and more difficult than I think it is. But here's the thing: they have lots of resources, and other video game companies have demonstrated an ability to patch their game correctly, and Activision themselves have also demonstrated their ability to do this. During Caldera, a lot of the design choices were not good. Like all of the regain mechanics, all of that shit, bad idea. But implementation-wise, it worked. Things just worked. I mean, their bad ideas worked well on day one. The problem with Caldera-era Warzone was not incompetence in actually developing. It was just poor decision-making, poor ideas,
absolutely.
poor things they wanted to implement. So it was not actually being able to patch the game or write patch notes that are accurate. So if Activision can do it, and they've demonstrated they've done it, then they have no excuse to not be doing it now.
Yeah.
So it's hard, whatever, batching shit. Well, I get it. Yeah. But they figured it out years ago. Figure it out again. And I think they've lost direction.
They've lost the direction of it. Like, I think leading up to this point, there was a very clear direction for Warzone, and they had the early Verdansk, right? The first season of Verdansk, they had a very clear direction of what they wanted. The second season, they also had, they came up with a very clear direction and they followed through on it, right? So you had the whole, and both of those, remember, they had a story, right? You actually they planned ahead enough to have a whole storyline that pushed changes to the map and did all that stuff. And in Caldera, they had some direction to start with. And then they kind of like, I think it became obvious they were just going to replace Caldera and they didn't care. And so they just threw their hands up and said, whatever goes. Like, I think the turning point, like the last thing they did was like, the Godzilla event was kind of like the end, like marked kind of the end of the story.
Right. Yeah.
And then it was like, but they still had like stories going on. It just, none of it made any sense. And like, they were just kind of doing their own thing. Which was fine. And then you get to Warzone 2, and I think, because we mentioned they had to switch gears completely away from like making DMZ like the future of Call of Duty free to play to going back to Warzone. Yeah. And that whole transition, I think they ended up not having a clear directive. They didn't have a storyline to push. They didn't have a goal to push. They were just throwing the game out there, and they're still throwing the game out there. And so I think the only, the hope really is that with Verdansk, they've sat there and said, we are going to put this on the right track, and we are going to do Verdansk correctly. And then from there on, they keep that mentality where they stick to their guns and they have this plan ahead, because it's just been this reactive mess ever since. Yeah. I'd say after Godzilla, it has been a reactive mess where they're not really pushing a plan. They're not following through on a plan. They're just kind of doing like their own thing. Yeah. Which I think is, been hugely detrimental. Like it's clear as day. They don't have a plan. They're just
I agree. Yeah.
And they're trying to fix little things here and fix little things there. And, they're not, because there's no plan, they keep breaking other things, or their fixes are terrible. They're just bad choices.
Yeah. I could see that. I mean, you can't pivot when you're this big. Like
you can't pivot 100 times. Like they pivoted
especially this often. Yeah. And it's with this little time. Yeah.
So hopefully Verdansk launches with a plan, and they follow through with the plan, and then whatever comes after Verdansk, right, is got the same thing, right? Like they have a plan, they know what they're doing, they're not winging it and like trying to react to what they think people are mad about or what they like. They just like give us what they want to give us. And and I think that's the thing with like most games. If the developers have an idea and they stick to their guns and they deliver start to finish what they have in mind, most people like it at the end of the day. Like they might not like the game overall, but like the complaint becomes a personal preference thing.
Yeah, it's not about the quality.
You are so inconsistent that nothing makes sense.
Right.
And I think that's where Warzone is. It's so inconsistent, even season to season, that nothing like it just doesn't make sense to play. Like if you were to pick it up
patch to patch. Yeah.
So I think that's what they need. Hopefully that's what they're going to deliver. We'll find out in a couple weeks.
You're more optimistic than me, but yeah, I hope for the same thing. Yeah.
Glass half full is kind of the approach I'm taking, because also too, I don't really have anything else I want to play. So it's like, I try not to focus on all the broken shit, and try to just have fun with what I'm doing. But I mean, in no way am I going to sit here and say this game is in good fucking shape, because it's not. I just don't have anything else I want to play more.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of games for work, and they're fucking horrible. There are some bad games out there.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
To be very clear, by the way, I am having fun playing Warzone. I'm still playing it a lot. It's just that it's especially frustrating this year right now because the game is very, very close to being the best ever that Warzone has been. We're really close, but the small number, there are a lot of problems, but there's a small number of very big problems that are just I can taste it, and then I jump off a roof I meant to get on the ledge of and die, and it's like, fuck me, dude. You said you fixed this 2 times. So we're so close, and they've patched things correctly before. That's why it's so frustrating. So I mean the game is very fun. That's why it bugs me so much that it does have the problems it has.
If the game was trash, we'd just be like, whatever. And
exactly. I don't get mad when Hello Kitty Island Adventure has a shit update.
Yeah. I mean,
because you're right. Like I don't play it.
I think a lot of it is like, you look on the timeline and you have these people who like, stop bitching, being negative. It's like, dude, first of all, we're passionate about the fucking game. We want it to work. We want it to be good. We call out when things are good and we call out when things are bad. Like we're
and you guys have kids,
we actually
by the way.
We all play the game.
Yeah. Like you guys have kids, right? So if your kid came home with a shit report card, they got all D's. Are you gonna say, oh well, I love my kids, so I'm actually not mad about this at all?
No, that motherfucker's losing his Xbox,
You're gonna say, hey, you're fucking grounded. That AIM Labs AIM controller is mine now for the next 8 weeks till your next report card, and you're gonna be incensed.
Which I have done.
Yeah,
because
if you're
a parent
worth your salt, you're going to get very upset with your kid because they are not living up to their potential, and you want them to live up to their potential that they're capable of, and it fucking bugs you when they don't.
Yep,
that's exactly how I feel about Call of Duty.
Yep.
So it's like, being a dev is hard, guys. On Twitter, those people they bug the fuck out of me. Yeah. They're just, I don't know what they're doing. They're either retarded or they are just really want the next COD Next invite. It's just one of those.
None of us are ever
fucking
going.
There's a difference too.
We should do our own event.
And I think there's a
do our own event.
COD alt or something. I don't know. Yeah, that'd be wild. But I think there's a big difference, and there's also a big difference between screwing something up and fixing it. Like was it season modern last year, the season 1 reloaded patch where it was like giving everybody seizures. Remember, it would like flicker and like nobody could touch their loadouts.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
It lasted like it only lasted like a day or two. Like they fixed it like on a Saturday morning at like 2 a.m. or something ridiculous like that. But it was like something like that where it's like, all right, somebody fucked something up and they fixed it, and it's like it is what it is. Like I have a lot more tolerance for that than bad decision making. And I feel like Call of Duty has been bad decisions after bad decisions for like going on 3 years straight. And it's like they just continue to make bad decisions. And like this whole SBMM white paper like interview this guy's gave, like I'm just like, dude, you're just here to promote. Like you're just here to promo this. Like you were probably ordered by Activision to go promo SBMM and like sell it. And it's like the decision making is just clearly like the loss of players has nothing to do with SBMM. It has to do with their bad decisions. And so they're, getting behind it with more bad decisions. And that's the problem. Like that pisses me off.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
Of course they're going to fucking defend their goddamn, they got to protect their nest egg or what they think is their nest egg.
Yeah. Yeah. And they, by the way, they never wanted to talk about SBMM. But it became so popular and obvious on social media, they were forced to address it. So then they had their little whatever dork write at some white paper. That's fake, by the way. It's just a fake white paper. Oh, connection is king. Kill yourself. That's not true, obviously. It's so obviously not true. I packet loss. My ping
FBI,
is...
he's being facetious.
Yes, I'm a joke. In game, obviously. The ping indicator is also fake, by the way. So like I don't know what ping I have ever, because often it'll say I have 3 milliseconds of ping. Cool. Hey, do you guys have a server in Albuquerque, New Mexico? And also, is it next door to me? Because otherwise, I'm not getting 3 milliseconds of ping. It's all just fake. It's fake. It's often outright lies or very crafty obfuscations or half-truths or misdirections. They do it all the time.
I played with...
and that's the SBMM thing, too. Connection is king is what they said. It's not.
I played with Ricochet last night. Sub, he had a 120...
Oh, yeah?
We got a buddy, Rick O'Shea. I never realized what it fucking meant. I feel like an idiot.
Got it.
It took a while to figure that out.
Yeah.
The best part about this is he's fucking Scottish, so I can only understand about every 10th word he fucking said last night. He's making call outs, and I'm like, just fucking ping it. Just ping it, right? But he had a he had a 122 ping. I had a 20 ping last night.
Well, yeah, because he's in Scotland, so he's got to like his data has to get on a sheep and get onto the boat and then get over here. So not surprised. But yeah, I don't know. We're in a weird spot. It's like I want to look forward to it. I've heard a lot about what's coming, and I am trying not to be optimistic. I'm trying to keep myself being so like this is going to be trash, and it's hard because you want it to be good.
I want it to be good too, man. I really do.
It's so close. Like,
yep.
But there's just decisions that they are making that like they are holding themselves back. Is the problem. And that's the infuriating part is that they know what they should know what they need, right? They should be able to look at, the old Warzone and be like, these are the things that actually made it great. And it wasn't the pandemic entirely. Like there were a dozen other games out that people would have played if it was bad. If the gameplay loop was bad, people wouldn't have played it. They would have gone to go other things. So clearly there was something that kept people on Warzone, right? Like, how many other games popped up and disappeared, because they were bad games, right? Everything
totally
was going to be a Warzone killer and nothing did. Activision was the Warzone killer. And so it's just like they're so close and it infuriates me.
But their data says
oh my God.
Fucking, I swear to God, dude.
Yep. That's another just like, dude, if you've taken statistics in 7th grade, anyone will tell you like, okay, yeah, you can take a data set and make it say whatever you want.
It's only as good as the person reading it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, where's this data you're referring to? First of all, exactly. Great point. And also, if they do give you data, if or when they do give you data, it's a cherry pick piece of data. It's not all the data, obviously. Yeah. They're just, like you said, they're just trying to sell SBMM to people. Because it was just the longer they didn't talk about it, at some point it reached a critical mass, and they were like, "All right, we gotta try to spin this."
And we didn't even get
our own spin on it.
Warzone white paper. We got fucking multi, so we're having to guess at how Warzone is.
That's that's true. Actually, you're right. Yeah. I remember an interview with Pat Kelly where he said there's no skill-based matchmaking in large scale game modes.
Yeah, your buddy Jake Down actually put that in
Just fake
in quotes.
Oh, Jake.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Base. Yeah. Jake and I talk about that among other things. Yeah. He's the only person that hates the devs enough, besides me.
Is he one of your terrible teammates? Because I mean, you're always talking about your terrible teammates that are dog shit at the game.
All of my teammates are terrible and not as good as I am.
Okay,
so yes, he's
sweet.
one of them. Yeah. Yeah. No, he's nuts. He's
and everybody
like
who kills
really
you is
good.
cheating, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, if someone kills me, they're cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I kill
Absolutely.
them, they're ass. Obviously.
Yep. That's the way it works. 100%.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, it's been good having you on. We had this was a lot of fun. Had a good time. We're over time. I'm sure. I know you're recording later today, right?
Yeah, a couple hours.
Yeah, a couple hours. So
yeah,
give you let you rest up a little bit. Try to keep it reasonable time wise. We are unreasonable people though, so this happens on the regular.
I'm chilling.
But yeah, man, it's been great having you. It's been a lot of fun. Hopefully, do something again. We get Tanner on here too. One of these days.
Get Tanner involved. Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, guys. It was fun. I had a good time.
And then so we'll put links to the Dropshot on socials and everywhere. So make sure if you don't follow them, check them out. And they got good content. Clearly on the nose with the devs not playing the game, as I believe that's in your intro every episode.
Love it, dude.
Yeah. No, it's true. I have to remind everyone. Yeah, it's the only explanation for the game in the last 5 years. Yeah.
So, but with that, we're gonna let everybody go. Thanks again, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.